I was trying to record it here. But it is.
But it is.
People
But it
coming
is.
in. Abundance.
Abundance, y'all.
Tapping
Abundance.
shit in live.
Excuse me. Abundance, abundance. Welcome in, welcome in. Abundance, abundance. Welcome in, y'all. Forgot to. Abundance, y'all. Welcome in, welcome in. We are not the same species. Period. Prokaryotic versus eukaryotic, y'all. This is the real spill.
Y'all know what we gonna talk about. Y'all know what these lives about.
Facts.
We not the same species.
Facts.
See what I'm saying? Coming down to genetics and the sun. That's all this so-called reality that's happening is coming down to. So what do we gotta focus on? He said we're all from Anunnaki. That's false. Let's not start talking in the comments and start making these false claims and false information in the comments.
Yeah, you was
There's a
literally
request button. Come request up and let's have a civil discussion.
You were
on
literally
genetics.
just in here when we were just live at 5 a.m. this rising. And you're the first person back in here. You should be able to request up. You should be able to request up. Unless that's a bot or something. Come on. All right. Now I'm going to try this again. Abundance and gratitude, y'all. I'm going to wait for everybody to get in here so I can state a disclaimer. Welcome back, Divine. Welcome back, sister. Welcome back. See what I'm saying? Welcome back, everybody. So I'm going to wait till everybody get in here so we can state a disclaimer and about how this live is ran, y'all. First of all, once we open the panel, we don't overtalk. This is a very intellectual discussion when we're discussing speciation. Okay? And we do have facts. All of our books are out in front of us. Okay? Please come up here and argue facts. Other than that, we're not going to allow misinformation to be spread on our platform, period. Leave the feelings at home. Facts over feelings. You see what's on the outside, not a safe space. Tread lightly in here. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of the time, y'all come in here with feelings and we're discussing species. And I'm talking to the brothers and sisters. I'm not even addressing, you see what I'm saying? Because that's the reason why we're talking about species. We're not the same. Your psyche is connected to your genome. So it's a completely different reason for why we do the things versus why they do the things that they do. You see what I'm saying? Remove the emotions in here. Okay? Now, I'm going to switch things up. I want y'all, when y'all ask me a question, I'm going to ask you first, what do you think? Y'all come in here and y'all usurp energy way too fucking much. I'm going to keep it a buck. You see what I'm saying? They already saying they taking the app away. By the end of this week, this shit going to be gone. Learn to think and be self-sufficient. Even as adults, we still depend on this system and their government that's been governing your mental. Learn to think for yourself. We're going to get down to the bottom of it as a collective. Abundance, welcome in. Gratitude, feel free to request up, but we do not do over talking. I will drop you quicker than you came, respectfully. Respect each other. Respect the two hosts that are here. It's two people on one phone, y'all. I don't know why y'all don't have
it. Yeah, it be two of us all the time.
You see what I'm saying? So here's the thing. You're talking to two people that have studied this collectively for about 10 years. It's not one source that can be given to you. It is a collective amount of research, okay? Collective amount of books, lectures, studying, not just Google hopping, right? Not just being Wikipedia warriors. I want y'all to really understand this room. And I'm going to state it a few times throughout the day. Facts over feelings. All right? So first of all, we're not the same species. On a cellular level, we're not the same. On an etheric level, we're not the same. If you think we're the same species, please come up here intelligently, scientifically, biologically, and genetically explain to us how we're the same species.
If you disagree, just request up. That's all it takes.
We're not the same species, y'all. It's 70 people in here. It is a lot of comments, but I don't see nobody in the requests.
Exactly. We're not responding to none of y'all in the comments because y'all just yapping. You see what I'm saying? Y'all not really trying to come up and have a discussion because we're not gonna go back and forth with comments. You see what I'm saying? That don't make sense. There's a whole panel that can be open. If y'all request up, we can have a civil discussion about genetics because we're all not the same genetically, biologically, anatomically. You see what I'm saying? Neurologically, we're not the same species. Our microbiome is different. So if you want to come up, just tell us. Just tell us how we're the same species. But if you cannot tell us, then just sit back in the comments then. Don't even speak.
This person is saying no one's coming up because there's no box.
You gotta click the guest button. It's on the bottom of your screen.
You see what I'm saying, y'all? You see what I'm saying? And these are people that disagree and don't even know how to work the app that they own. Come on. Wait, go ahead, Quasis. Go ahead.
Don't know who should go first.
I've said your name. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. It's my bad. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, you good.
I do disagree with the prompt.
Okay, why?
I disagree because of exon sequencing and intron sequencing. Protein encoding computers show that the species is homogenized, monophylogenetic in terms of taxonomic labels. So there are no other species of sapiens alive today. No one is genetically differentiated. All populations are undifferentiated to that level, that we're all the same species.
So I'm just going to ask you a simple question. How did we go from haploids to diploids?
How did we go from what?
How did we go from haploids to diploids?
So over evolutionary time, evolutionary pressures changed proto-archaea into eukaryotic multicellular life forms.
Right, you just explained the question. I said, how do we go from haploids to diploids? And then you just basically explained haploids and diploids. I'm asking you how.
Yeah, the exact mechanism of evolution is, I thought was unknown, the exact mechanism. But do you know the answer? I'm sorry. Did I get it wrong?
No, you're right. I'm asking you how we went from haploids to diploids. You mentioned the term evolutionary. You mentioned the process of what it's explaining, prokaryotic versus eukaryotic. So I'm just asking you, how did that happen? You said it was unknown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so then how did we go from haploids to diploids? It never happened,
population.
Right? Oh. But I'm just asking, did it happen?
It probably wasn't linear. like there was probably species like transitional species that
Probably, yeah. Probably.
weren't completely differentiated with just haploid or just diploid. Like unicellular, some unicellular organisms can do horizontal gene transfer, so they can share genetic code outside of their phylum. And like unicellular species are usually what we use as like this is sort of what it was like before eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells, right?
Okay, so we can take a look at this source, several different sources, evolution theory itself. If we look at that last paragraph right there, it says prokaryotes were the only form of life on Earth for billions of years until more complicated eukaryotic cells came into being through the process of evolution. So, the basis of evolution is explaining how we went from being mainly prokaryotic to having more complicated eukaryotic cells, which is a completely different species because it is a completely different function of the organism and the cell itself. So if you just said, sir, that if the process of evolution is unknown, like I'm asking you, how do we go from having no animal DNA to all of a sudden having it? How do we go from being unicellular, talking about the function of the cell, to being multicellular? How do we get these different animals in our genome and these animals are not natural to the planet? Or excuse me, and then on top of the fact that all of those different animals can't naturally reproduce with each other, but yet there are organisms that have that. And then even in talking about the eukaryotic organism that we have quote unquote evolved into being, there is no explanation for that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not something that is factual to use in a discussion when we're talking about speciation.
So, in the same logic that you're approaching this with in terms of speciation, because prokaryotic cells came from proto. Oh, my bad. Came from proto cells as well. So, you're basically saying like prokaryotic cells are like unnatural because they had derived through polymorphic descent, which is just, it doesn't make much sense. They're just a later polymorphic mutation of common ancestral populations.
Nah, prokaryotics is not a mutation. It's not a mutation. It doesn't mutate. You should look up when you use that word. Hold
Polymorphism
on.
is
I didn't cut
basically
you off.
synonymous.
I didn't cut you off. When you use that word mutation, you gotta really look up what that means. So-called
Yeah,
that.
so a
Hold on.
mutation is
Can't,
allele
man.
invariation.
I can't have a discussion if you keep cutting me off during my
I was about to
conversation.
give you an actual definition and
Oh
you
my
Just
goodness,
let him
man.
finish and then you can go
muting is a
next.
sign of
I literally
weakness.
just said, and I stated the rules for the room to do no over talking because that will flag the live and get it taken down. So I'm just asking out of respect for everybody to just speak, let each other speak one at a time. So just let him finish and then when he's done, you can go.
It's crazy, man, because when people talk and you interrupt them, it disrupts the flow that they were already speaking on. You see what I'm saying? That disrupts what they that's what I see when people do that. It's like it's crazy. But what I'm trying to say is like um prokaryotes did never mutated. We didn't change.
He left.
Prokaryotes never mutated into polymorph. No, and all of that. It's not none of that. You see what I'm saying? Prokaryotes were the first life forms on the
Exactly.
planet.
Like I just had
And
that on
they're
the screen.
abundant throughout the whole cosmos. You know what I'm saying? So what he was saying is saying that they came from a common ancestor. No, it didn't. Because scientists today don't know how we went from haploids to diploids. We kept asking him, how did we go from, he kept saying, explaining the definition of them instead of telling us how we actually went from haploids to diploids.
Yeah.
You're not telling us the process because scientists, we have genetics for dummies right in front of, we have all the sources right in front of us. We have the genetics for dummies, biology for dummies, and all of these scientists are saying they don't know how we went from haploids to diploids. They don't know how we went from having no animal DNA, being autotroph people, and now moving into a colder environment and now having genetic material from multiple different animals that cannot naturally reproduce with each other and now I can't. My body rejects the sun. You see what I'm saying? So I used to eat from the sun, and now my people, we undergo black body radiation. Y'all can go look that up. Y'all, everybody outside of us undergoes acute body radiation. Y'all body, y'all vessel is not able to contain all that radiation. You're not natural to the planet. This is what we mean by we saying there's some beings on this planet that are not natural to the planet because they were grafted. They were truly seeded onto this planet. They're saying, "Oh, we're eukaryotic cells." We're not eukaryotic cells. You have to look up the root definition of eukaryotic cell, which means true seeded nucleus. They were truly seeded into this reality. The fuck? You can't come up and say that. You were truly seeded into this reality. So-called black people, we don't have a nucleus. All of our cells in our body, which is the biochemical substance that is condensed sunlight, that condenses sunlight. You see what I'm saying? This is facts.
Yeah. Go ahead, Celestial. And whoever that was just up, it timed out. You'll have to request back up, and then we'll get to Mouse.
Hi. So I looked up some of the stuff you guys were saying yesterday, and I understand what you're saying now. I do have a question, and I have some answers to the questions you guys were just asking the dude, but mine is a little bit because I noticed that you mentioned ethereal, and I noticed that you mentioned material. You do know that there's astral as well, right? And I'm asking that because of the fact that there's been a disconnect from that form for a long time, and now it's starting to come back into circulation. And I'm wondering if that maybe is where all of our misunderstandings as a material species could possibly be missing where these creatures came from. You know what I'm saying?
I don't, because I need to ask a clarifying. First of all, when did I say that? And what did I specifically say?
Well, you were like, we're not the same species. You said we're not the same species materially or etherically, and I said, well, what about?
I don't use the word materially because that doesn't flow off of my tongue.
I'm sorry. That was the, or maybe you said physically. I'm sorry. I was thinking.
So that's what I was getting ready to ask. So physically, we're all physical people, and we all have an etheric body.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We also have an astral body.
Etheric and astral is the same thing.
No, they're not.
You don't. Yes, it is. Astro etheric is the same thing. It's talking about the same thing. The cosmos, the universe. It's just different names. This is a satanic language that you're speaking. You just gotta decode what it means. You see what I'm saying? This is not your real language. The real language that you gotta be learning to speak is frequency, energy, how that flows, internal alchemy and outer alchemy. That's what you gotta be learning. You like
astral and etheric are the same thing.
it's the same thing.
Astral is referring to the cosmos, and your etheric body is your ether, your spirit body, which is the same thing as an astral body. They're just different.
And your etheric body is just the soul. And what is the soul? Neuromelanin, condensed sunlight, the biochemical substance that our ancestors called the soul. This is all science. And this is why we told you last night to dive into your genetics. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, please clarify.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So, like even when you go to sleep, there are three realms. You have the earth realm, the light realm, and the demon realm. Okay, so that would be, there is a deeper sleep than the etheric place. So when you guys are saying it's the same thing, there is three components. Everybody has a trinity. So there is something deeper that I feel like you guys might be missing in your understanding, because even scientifically, when you look at the way that the body works, we're talking about the emotional. So you have the mind, the spleen, and then the emotion. These are all the three forms of awareness. Now, while that emotional awareness is not fully developed yet, it's coming too. And I feel like maybe there's a possibility that in your guys' understanding of this, because it's not fully developed yet, maybe that's where these other beings have come from, and then maybe that's where we're missing.
We don't deal with maybes here, sister. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like,
I'm asking,
I'm
is it a
tired of it.
possibility that
Like,
maybe there's?
children don't
I'm
need to hear
asking for my
baby.
own studies because I'm asking. That's the reason why I was.
Okay, I have a question, sister. Why would you ask me for your research?
Because you know a little bit more about the whole
So
melanin.
then why would you tell me that I'm wrong and I'm missing out on something, but ask me for my
I'm
knowledge of
asking you
something?
questions
No, I
that
know,
maybe
and I'm giving you the answer for like 3 or 4 days in a row. But my question is, how are you telling me that I'm missing something while asking me for my knowledge for your research?
That sounds like
That
projection.
I don't. That's not cool. That's
what?
called usurping energy. I'm just gonna allow you to stay there. You can stay there. I just need to introduce the next guest because there are other people up. Go ahead, Mouse.
Hey guys, how are you today?
Abundance.
Well, I was listening to the beginning of the conversation and I was like, you know where these things came from? I feel like I do. I have an answer maybe for you.
What are
When
you referring to?
I'm talking about all of these entities and the things that we are now and the things that are kind of weird in our reality, if you know, you know.
What's your biological identification to the planet?
I'm human.
Human is connected to animals, and
I have,
and and
trust me,
every and when you look at humans that share DNA with animals, you can look this up. They actually show you that y'all have different
not everyone.
genetic. Hold on, they actually show you that you have different genetic material from different animals to make up the organism that you are today. And these different animals cannot naturally reproduce with each other in nature. So how did they get in your genome?
Let
I
her.
don't have that in my
Hold
genealogy. What
on,
I'm trying to say.
hold on 1 second. I would just like for you to continue expressing your frequency on what you were getting ready to say. We'll get into the genetics later. I don't want to deter anyone feeling like they can't come up. You see what I'm saying? But we are critical thinkers. That's why we say it's not a safe space for people that can't think. All right. So I'm just resetting the room. Go ahead, Mouse, and explain to us, are we the same species or not? That's what we're talking about in this room.
Well, what do you think about the Mandela effect? Because
Are we the same species? Are we the
CERN
same
opened up,
species? Are we the same species?
we're not what we used to be. That's what I'm getting at. CERN opened up a portal and moved us into an alternate dimension, if you really want to get into it, where there's more dark matter. They've been opening portals and allowing these things in. So if you believe in the Mandela effect, like, for instance, you know, you go to a parallel reality or a parallel universe, things are a little different, but not different enough for it to be super strange, right? Unless you can really see.
I got
So,
you. So are we the same species?
well, I
This is what this
believe that
live is
they've
about,
actually
y'all.
put something in the air and they've opened up dimensions. And I think they're just doing their own little research with us, quite frankly.
So I'm gonna ask you again, are we the same species? It's just a yes or no question. That's just what we're discussing in this room because that's the topic of the live. Everybody wants to come up and talk about their own shit, but we're discussing this. Or else I would encourage you to go live on your own page, Celestial. Like, it's not fair for you to come to my live and tell me how to run my shit. It's my
I
page.
was just trying to get some
So
understanding.
I wasn't asking for, I'm just trying to just like, these are grown people, y'all. Y'all are grown.
And they have
I'm
some, they have
asking,
questions too, but you don't have no answers. You just
no,
have a
I'm
bunch of
not
answers. So
talking
I'm
to
gonna go ahead.
you.
I have the ability to see in the spirit. I have the ability to move around.
Yeah, I understand that. And
So
I'm just trying to talk about my topic, ma'am.
I'm
Can you
trying
respect this
to talk
room? I'm
about
going
your
to ask
topic
you
as
again
well.
out of respect. Are we the same species?
I
That's what we're
believe
talking
I'm the
about.
same species.
Okay. So that's why he asked you, what is your biological identification to this planet?
I don't think I'm from here, quite frankly.
So where do you think you come from?
Some of us are on other planets and on space bases.
What do you mean by
So,
some of us?
hold on.
There
I just
are.
want to.
Imagine if there was a cataclysmic event, because there's actually protocol for this. I kept going back to this place where there's like pods. We are
Man,
in. No, wait, we're inside the
I just want to
pods.
talk about my topic. I don't want to talk about mystic. You see what I'm saying? We're talking about genetics. I don't want to talk
Yeah.
about that. Like, this is why I say thank you. Respectfully, thank you. If you don't want to add to the topic, y'all, why are we in here? Out of respect. Respect the platform. We're talking about we're not the same species. You see what I'm saying? If you can't add to that conversation, I think you might have to go to another room to where you can add to that conversation. But this is what we're talking about in here. Out of respect. Disrespect will get you just dropped. And if you want to do it in the comments, you'll be blocked. It's my room, y'all. We're just protons and electrons, for the most part, bouncing off information. What our cells do on a quantum level, we're doing in here. It's a discussion I have on the outside of this, not a safe space. Facts over feelings. I don't care about what you did and you were projecting one night. I want to know if we're the same species because that's what we're talking about. What is your biological identification to this same planet that's a part of the same cosmos that y'all want to talk about? When I look at people outside of my species, I know that they are sulfur and ammonia based. There is no biological identification with this planet or the cosmos being sulfur and ammonia based. You have to look at what planets are made of, stars, what they're made of. If you do not biologically, on a quantum, cellular, molecular, anatomical, physiological, genetic, it doesn't matter. If there is no biological identification, we're not going to really waste our energy. You see what I'm saying? I want to build with protons and electrons because that's me. That's what this planet is. That's what the cosmos is. That's what I'm composed of. I can only move in my truth. So if everybody else is not wanting to do this and talk about mystical shit, go to another live where they doing that at. All right? Go ahead, TikToker. Welcome back. Gratitude and abundance.
Yeah, how's everyone? Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there's definitely a difference. Um, I have a question. Could you don't even have to elaborate if you don't want to, but could you elaborate on what will make the difference? Like, would it is melanin really is melanin one of the driving factors for the difference, or is there other aspects for why we're different? I
No,
already know
there,
what it is.
like I was just saying, biological, genetic, anatomical, physiological, neurological. We're two completely different species. And even when we look at them, their haplogroup, the humans that we're talking about, they are incomplete dominant amongst themselves. That's a fact. So,
And melanin is equivalent to DNA. Your DNA is your genetic material, and melanin is your genetic material. The same thing. There's the same thing. So, and your phenotype is determined by your DNA. So we obviously don't have the same phenotype, and we don't have the same. So that means we don't have the same melanin. It's just that. It's just that simple. Children understand this. You see what I'm saying? When we talk to children about this information, they know, oh, I am a prokaryotic cell and they're a eukaryotic cell. They can't even go to school and differentiate these things. Children know. So we got to start understanding, like, yes, your DNA is equivalent to the melanin that you have,
right,
to the type of melanin that you have.
right. Go ahead, Ether. Welcome back, brother.
Abundance. I just want to add to that. It is a scientific proven fact that all species learn differently. So yes, it does matter. And because we're not the same species, we shouldn't be around these other people. We should be only amongst ourselves because, again, it's a scientific fact that we all learn differently. And because we're allowing our children to be taught by these other people, it's fucking with our species psychologically and mentally. And because we're not being taught correct information when it comes down to our species, it's breeding non-thinkers within our own species. And that's not okay, because you're not going to see a fly try to go and learn from a honeybee or vice versa. So yes, I do believe that it is important to talk about different types of melanin, because we have different types of melanin, we are different species.
Yeah, they have animal melanin and eumelanin, which is animal melanin. And you have neuromelanin, which is the only molecule that can condense sunlight and is also condensed sunlight. So you literally have the sun flowing through your veins. That's what neuromelanin is. And that is produced by your pineal gland. And when they're born with their pineal glands calcified. So they're not even producing that chemical at birth. They don't even have that. So it's important to talk about genetic differences, especially when you're working for somebody that has multiple different animals within their genome, and those animals can naturally reproduce. Now, if you're or reproduce with themselves. Now, if your psyche is what's connected to your genetics, then we have a lot to unpack. Because instead of spinning our wheels turning all this time talking about slavery, talking about racism, talking about cultural appropriation, talking about if we can let the white girl wear box braids, like, let's actually look into the psychology of these people. Why do these people do the things that they do? Because there's been a trend, a really, let's just say a 500-year plus trend. At some point, you got to call a spade a spade. You see what I'm saying? Historical evidence is just one side of it, y'all. We have to explore every part of this quote unquote matrix. That's how I know you niggas have not uncracked nothing. Oh, I cracked the code on the matrix. Nigga, you're still fast asleep. The number one rule in the cosmos is to know thyself. We know that we are hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, helium, and carbon. That's who we are. And then that's the explanation in the physical. Then we can relate it back to the cosmos and relate it back to spirituality. That's knowing thyself, knowing how they are connected and are one. So this superficial, mystical bullshit that everybody want to deem is spirituality, can't nobody really tell me who they are. You can talk about the chakra system, but you can't tell me how you're actually affecting each chakra, and you don't even know that it's chakras within them chakras. We go to the surface and we don't ever go past that. Everybody has recycled the same quote unquote spiritual shit for fucking decades. You see what I'm saying? Who's really standing on business for real? And I don't see the spiritual community doing that. Like I said, 95% of these niggas is sleepwalking, and another nigga truth. And that nigga didn't even know. Because when you talk to your people, all they say is, I believe, or I believe, which has the word lie in it, y'all. Where are the people that know something for a fucking change? You see what I'm saying? We've had too much time. We're not even going to talk about before slavery or post-slavery. Let's just look in the past 10 years. You see what I'm saying? We've become better, which is quote unquote worse at their system. We're depending on them more. People can't think. You can look at that from a TikTok live. Everybody comes in here, what's this? What's this? What's this? Oh no, I don't think. Then why ask? We started out the live, y'all, letting everybody know collectively this is 10 years worth of research with books in front of us. Research every day. We'll start at 3 p.m., not finish until 3 a.m. the next rising. 10 years. Collective. You see what I'm saying? It's nothing that you stop doing. Somebody DM'd me the other day. When y'all going live? No, I'm waiting on you, sister. Oh, I've been talking for 12 years. Talked? You talked for 12 years? Are our brothers and sisters woke? Do they know themselves? So how could you stop and give up on your people and then talk to me about spirituality and being one with self when you're not even one with the whole? This is what I mean. I hold my people accountable for real. It's time to wake up. That's all I'm saying. All right. So go ahead, CBFW. CBFW.
My bad. Uh, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Abundance, gratitude. Welcome in, brother. Go ahead and
Abundance.
express your frequency.
It's crazy how every time I come in here, the sister going so hard trying to wake people up, and they don't want to wake up. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's kind of supposed to be this way because everybody can't go. Everybody can't wake up, and everybody can't level up. An example being the other night I was at work, and it was this one dude. We was talking about how they dominated the planet or whatever. They took over the planet. And he was like, yeah, you don't want to go to war with these people because they dominated the planet years ago when we had the planet on our side. So what makes you think if we try to do it again now, whoop, whoop, whoop. And I was like, you sound like a slave, like a coward.
It's not enough of us waking up because it's not enough people actually standing on business and moving in authenticity, which is the highest vibration. That's the thing. Niggas are not real. Nobody has integrity. When
No,
you
no.
speak, yeah, to your brother or sister, you can tell the vibration that they're holding based off of what they say. That's what we mean by can you read energy? We not even doing that. So then how are you tapped in with the spirit, which is energy, and you can't even read it?
Right.
We're not real with ourselves. We're not sitting down with ourselves. We're not meditating. We're not locking in. We're not in a state of observation, which is meditation. And when we observe somebody else's reality, which has nothing to do with us. So it can't just be one or two talking. If you see that I'm on here every day trying to wake people up, you should be trying to do the same thing if you cared. That's just me. And I don't know what way you do it. And I'm not saying it has to be TikTok. You probably stand on business in real life. But I'm just saying we have to help each other, lift each other up, help each other ascend. I'm not going to help you stay complacent and sleep. You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to dim the lights down lower and tuck you in. No, I'm going to tell you, get up, get up, get up. At some point or another, the more you hear it, the more you'll do it because that's how energy works. Now, ultimately, it's your choice. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I say I drop breadcrumbs. These lives is just breadcrumbs, y'all. You see what I'm saying? It's just for niggas to, you know what I'm saying? Whoever's doing the spiritual work you know what I'm saying, is already a vibrational match to that. And the niggas who not are the ones that are crying. Yeah. Coming up here to over talking, right? Because they eat meat, feeding parasites, antigens. So they're allowing other things to think for them. You see what I'm saying? This is how this go. We do one at a time. I'm gonna get to you in a second. But yeah, go ahead and land CBF. That was a great point. I'm gonna
Yeah,
come back.
they bro, a lot of my coworkers, is I was telling them niggas, y'all not even, I was telling them exactly that. You're not even seeing past the physical into the spiritual. And a lot of motherfuckers have the problem with not being intentional with what they say. Like they just saying stuff.
Yeah,
It's
fact,
crazy. Like you'll speak yourself right into a trap and don't even realize it.
facts. Nah, facts. Go ahead, Universal. Universal Toe. All right, go ahead, Mossy.
What up? Um, so like it's 2025, right? And I came on I just recently came on TikTok and I'm glad I did because now I get to interact with like-minded people. Where I'm at in the United States, I don't speak to like-minded people at all. Like and I live in a predominantly white area, but there are black people. But when I try to speak to black people specifically, um, they just don't want to get it. They want to believe, white is standard and everything. And to speak on your topic a little bit, you know, the scientific community, they like to say that, we're the same species and so on and so forth. But if you actually like read how black people develop, we develop differently than white people on a skeletal level, on a dental level. Our psychomotor skills are way more advanced, and that society actually makes black people dumber. It retards our psychomotor motor development, and one of the ways that they do it is through the educational system. And then we go through the educational system, we learn their standards, their values, their culture, so on and so forth. And then we bring that into our homes and we socialize our children that way. Um, and you look at, history, white people, they have a history of just violence, lying, pillaging, robbing. Black people, if you read Black history a lot, our societies were completely equal, like in totality. We didn't have hierarchies, we had roles. And in fact, the king wasn't like you would view a king from a Eurocentric point of view. The African king was an advocate, a true advocate for the people. And you look at the blacksmiths in the community, the blacksmiths actually held more power than the king, I guess you would say, because they were the one that were manufacturing everything on an industrial level, whether it be the weapons, the tools, so on and so forth. So that was an interesting thing that I had to learn about Black societies. It wasn't hierarchical or whatever, however you say that. It was equal, or there was equity in the society. Some people may say otherwise because you have your matrilineal systems and you have your patrilineal systems, but in totality, human life was cherished, and it wasn't anything like this society. And if black boys and girls actually learned that in school, we would be our conscious would be a lot different than what it is today. And in fact, we're educated to be more like white people. And you hear a lot of Black Americans, not just Black Americans, but like Black people that are brought through a Eurocentric school and learn their ideologies, they tend to associate themselves with the European aspect more than they do the African aspect, which is why I like to refer to myself as a person of African descent or an African American versus like a Black American. But I get it's like a cultural thing, Black American. I mean, it's interchangeable with me. And I don't take offense by considering myself a Black American or somebody calling me that. But just looking at it from that perspective, it changes the way you look at, yourself and how you view your people. And I'm gonna land on that.
Okay, abundance and gratitude. Go ahead, Crockpot.
Oh, there we go. How's it going, guys?
Go ahead.
Well, I just joined. I'm looking at the "We are not the same species." I guess we'll start off by what do you mean by we?
What do you think?
I'm not exactly sure. I guess that's why I asked, but I guess it would have something to do with something rooted in identity. I guess to provide some background in myself, I describe myself as an agnostic white dude.
Okay. So me and you are not the same species.
Okay. What do you think makes the biggest, I guess, difference of a different species?
It's
Like, what
not
do you think? Like,
it's not one thing. It's everything about us that's different on a cellular level. Micro to macrocosm, we're completely different.
Our genetic material.
so you don't believe that DNA is the solidifying factor. And I guess if it's not that, what would you believe is?
DNA is DNA is your genetic material, and your DNA is actually the type of melanin that you have. And we don't have the same type of melanin. Your type of melanin is pheomelanin, which is animal-based melanin, sulfur and ammonia-based. Our melanin is neuromelanin. See what I'm saying? Condensed sunlight. We are the sun
Even if that's
walking in the
true,
sun.
those aspects would be influenced by DNA, which would be the coding part.
Exactly. So, how did all of those different animals that can't naturally reproduce with themselves get into your genome?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
What
gonna
are
put
you
them on
what
the
are you saying?
screen.
That's
I'm gonna put them
it's
on the
like,
Okay,
screen for
hold
I
you.
would
on.
imagine that it evolves over time or something.
Okay.
Okay, we finna show you on the screen real quick.
So crockpot, genetics has a lot to do
Okay,
with it.
so
I
you can
mean,
look at the screen,
you, you,
Clark. This is what we're talking
Hold,
about.
hold on, Mossy. Hold on. I got you, brother. But yeah, this is what we're talking about. They say humans have all of these different genetics inside of their organism. How did all of these different organisms get inside of your genome? Because a chimpanzee can't procreate with a cow to make you.
Yeah, so there's 4 sets in like a DNA sequence, and when they add up, like it doesn't. You don't want to equate the percentage to likeness exactly. Like obviously, DNA of chimps were not a
When you leave
these,
the app, we can't hear
even
you.
though it's similar. Like we have 90% or more DNA compatible with a banana. That doesn't make us a fucking banana, you know.
How when you're composed of that same genetic material? How when it's your genetics that make up the organism itself?
Well, cause I guess with whatever, like because I guess I would say humans are more than the sum of their parts. It doesn't necessarily matter what anything is made of. If you have sentiency, that's the ultimate deciding factor.
Yeah, but
That's my
see,
philosophy.
Okay. So as far as sentiency, right? What we have a completely different integumentary system. When we're perceiving through our our body, right? When we're perceiving the world using our skin, when we're talking about hair versus fur, 2 structures versus 3, when we're talking about prokaryotic versus eukaryotic, we are a completely different organism, even down from genetics all the way up to our etheric body.
So you don't believe that, like, do you have, okay, I guess I have a lot of questions, I guess. Like, do you believe you have stomach bacteria, like in your stomach and stuff?
every organism has stomach bacteria, but different kinds of cells in there to make that bacteria. So-called black people, we have prokaryotic cells in our gastrointestinal functions. Y'all have eukaryotic cells. We don't have that.
Right.
That's
Y'all
the
have
distinction
50
between
trillion
us.
cells and we have
You
150 trillion.
think I have eukaryotic cells?
No, your scientists, your historians have documented that you are a eukaryotic cell organism. They
Genetics
don't
say
have
this.
any genetic or historical or scientific explanation for how y'all got here. They've been trying to figure that out since day 1. So I'm going to put this on the screen. I don't know when you came up. I'm just going to show you just a simple source. All right. Plenty of
Okay.
sources say this because you're the one who mentioned evolution. And that entire theory is flawed, which is the reason why it was labeled as a theory itself.
Well,
But
yeah,
even
I would
here,
agree too. I
so
would agree that it would be a theory.
so then I wouldn't use it
But like,
yeah, I wouldn't use that in the discussion when we're talking about speciation. This last paragraph right here says prokaryotes were the only form of life on Earth for millions of years until more complicated eukaryotic cells came into being through the process of evolution. You just said that you wouldn't deem evolution as factual. They do not know how we went from being haploid to being diploid. There is no scientific genetic
Explanation for that.
explanation for that.
So that's false, and that's why it's classified as a theory.
well, I'd imagine both of our cells have nucleuses in them, so that would make us the one on the left, right?
So again, 2 different cells, all right? That nucleoid is where our neuromelanin sits. As a eukaryotic organism on the left, that could be eumelanin or pheomelanin, which is animal melanin, which is what make you guys eukaryotic. It's not just animals, it's humans, it's plants, it's eukaryotic, well, plants, animals, and insects.
So do you think the prokaryote one
Um,
is on the left or the right?
I'm literally telling you that the eukaryotic is on the left. That is a multicellular complex cell organism.
And you have all these
If
compartmentalized parts.
if you understand the function of both cells, you wouldn't even be asking that. And I'm just saying that respectfully. Because the function of a unicellular function is that there is something that it is a self-programming cell. And a multicellular organism means that there is multiple different genetic material that has been fused together to make one complete cell, and all of those cells make up one organism. So again, when we had these pictures on the board here, let me go back to the pictures, because this is very simple to understand. Like a 7-year-old can literally come in here. A 7-year-old and a 9-year-old can tell you this like in their sleep. How did all these animals get into your genome?
Facts.
That's the reason why you guys are considered eukaryotic, because there's multiple different organisms that are speaking through through the one nucleus that you have. There's at least 5. This is where we get into incomplete dominance. This is where we get into y'all not even being the same amongst yourselves. Just the other day, like 3 weeks ago, High Noon, they dropped a source that literally says that there's Homo sapiens and Neanderthals are not the same. 2 completely different species, but they still don't know how either one of them got there. So this is still the hottest topic.
Would you agree that we're both beings influenced by
So first of
DNA?
all,
Or
sir, as if I'm speaking, it's rude to cut me off.
my apologies.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you again. How do we go from haploids to diploids? How do we go from being mainly prokaryotic to eukaryotic cells if we're the same species and one was here before the other and has a completely different cellular function?
Well, I felt like I have no clue, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's okay. But this is your scientists and your historians don't know either. That's the thing. They know that we're not the same species. They just don't know how the fuck y'all got here. How did y'all go from struggling with stones for 2 million years?
So-called 2 million years.
So-called 2 million years, right? To all of a sudden mastering computers in 50,000 years? You're talking about a species
Yeah,
that
we
came to
discovered
the
math. It's a
place
program that
6
like
to
that's part of what
7,000
DNA
years.
is. It's
Am I
a
speaking?
program.
Who's speaking? You're talking about a species that came out of caves 6 to 7,000 years ago on all fours with hypertrichosis, vestigial tails, unable to speak or reproduce with each other. How did you go from that less than 10,000 years ago to on a panel talking to me, trying to tell me we the same species?
Because we did, and when I say we, are you talking about humans?
You don't understand the question, which is why you try to deflect. Even your historians, your scientists, they all saying that extraterrestrials were the ones who actually spliced y'all and made y'all on the planet here. Y'all were genetically spliced on the planet. That's the root definition of eukaryotic cell, truly seeded nucleus.
So you believe we're
And
not
hold
of
on, hold
Earth?
on, and
Like,
hold on,
like you believe
hold
like
on.
white people aren't of Earth?
Man, listen. And when you keep saying DNA, you keep saying DNA doesn't DNA influence? Our DNA is completely different. It's 2 different things. DNA is the type of melanin that you have.
Speaking of melanin, I'm gonna
You
actually
have pheomelanin.
before I even put this up, he just gave you part of the answer, okay? You have pheomelanin. All right. How many types of melanin do you think there are? Just wild guess, Crockpot.
I would say more than one because there's a lot of shades of folk out there.
Oh, really? So you believe that your phenotype is connected to your genotype?
I'm not sure what you mean by phenotype or genotype.
Okay.
You're
So I don't. You see what I'm saying?
you don't do
You don't
you don't know what
know.
phenotype is?
No, I do know what phenotypes are. They're what influence the outcomes of different types of plants and animals and lots of things.
Is that what phenotype is?
Yeah, it's like the stuff in plants that like change and shit.
Nah, phenotype is not the stuff in plants.
Oh wow.
Phenotype is your physical characteristics and what you show, your behavior. And that is for every organism. Every organism can have a phenotype. That's how you present, is what you
Yeah,
show.
it's what you
So,
show.
and that is connected, it's a direct connection to your DNA and your biology. So if we're phenotypically different and we phenotypically present differently, you see what I'm saying? My hair grows towards the sun. My integumentary system biosynthesizes the sun. Yours doesn't. Yours rejects the sun. Yours hair grows down without no magnetism. You see what I'm saying? So how are we the same?
Well,
You see
because
what
we
I'm saying?
both
That
have
doesn't make sense.
DNA. That's
So
what I
that's
would
fine.
say.
So let's take a look at the screen, Crockpot. There are 5 basic types of melanin. So you said that you know that there are more than one because there are different shades of people. And based off of what you see, you know that there's a difference between us, even though you're trying to say that. Hey Josh, see these? So this is what we're saying. 5 different types. He told you you're pheomelanated. That is animal melanin. Them same animals that we just had on the screen are the same. They also have pheomelanin. We're neuromelanated. That's what I was trying to explain with the nucleoid and the prokaryotic cell. That's where our neuromelanin sits. All right. Then we can talk about eumelanin, which is also just another form of animal melanin. This is what your so-called Dravidian has, your so-called Indian. And I'm just using the titles that they created for y'all. I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying, step on toes. That's why I'm saying not a safe space. But these are the facts. There's 5 different types of melanin. Eumelanin is what people that are quote unquote brown, right, phenotypically. But then we have to differentiate the difference between browns because that genetic makeup for each browns are not the same. This is why we have to look at every last one of them. So you are pheomelanated, we are neuromelanated. This is where the plants come in with allomelanin.
I actually have a question for that the plants, because I went through middle school and high school, and they said that the humans are like structured just like plants. The only difference is that they have like chlorophyll and magnesium, and humans have melanin and iron, I believe. So like you mentioned that a certain type of people they're multicellular, and then yeah, multicellular, and then us black people we're only one celled. So I'm wondering like what is the difference between like the plant and us? Are plants like cellular, if that makes sense?
So neuromelanin is the only molecule that is condensed sunlight and it can condense sunlight. That's what powers prokaryotic cells, and it's your single cells that make up an entire organism. So there is no nucleus because the neuromelanin itself is what programs that cell to do all of its function. That would be your so-called black. All right. When it comes to the chlorophyll, which is a plant, which also biosynthesizes, which also eats from the sun, is just like you. But it's not referring to the eumelanin and the pheomelanated person. According to universal law, they always have to give you truth and lie. But if you don't know yourself, then you don't know what's you. So that's what they're saying.
And for prokaryotic, they're talking about the function. We're talking about the function of the cell.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And we're talking about how all of the cells that make up our whole anatomy, the cells that make up my brain, the cells that make up my heart, the cells that make up my liver, all stems from the same embryological origin, which is the totipotent stem cell of the so-called black woman. When you look at other so-called people outside of us, all of their genetic information comes from different animals. So that's what makes them a multicellular organism, because they need different genetic material from different organisms to make up their whole organism that they have today. So that's what we're talking about. But for so-called black people, we all get our genetic information from the so-called black woman because she's the all and she's the beginning.
Yeah. You can check my page for even like another video of breaking down like prokaryotic versus eukaryotic. I am going to load, since they're taking this away on Sunday, I am going to do full length videos breaking this down, decoding some of the lectures that we have, going through the annotations of some of the books that we have and stuff like that. And then we'll be able to do live streams and stuff on YouTube, or I'll be also going live on Instagram. Make sure y'all check my page, my bio. Both of those are linked there, YouTube and Instagram. But I just want to everybody to know that they're giving truth and lie at the same time, y'all. We really have to take out the time to really know thyself for real. You see what I'm saying? Because it can be confusing only if you don't know you. You see? All right. So TikToker, you've been up there for a minute. Did you want to speak, add in on anything?
I have a few questions. So, phenotype is basically the outer appearance of a person.
It's what they show, including behavior. It
Yeah.
means showing. Pheno means it means showing or to show.
So everything that you see in the organism, when you look at it, when you go in nature and you see a lion and you see how it behaves and you see his physical characteristics, that's this phenotype. And that's how you can differentiate species in nature.
Okay. So even with so-called black people, wouldn't there be differences within them?
There are no genetic differences between our species. We're the same species.
Yeah, and we don't just exist on this planet. We
Yeah.
exist everywhere. So-called black people are native to all land masses. And there's nothing that separates us except discipline. That's it. And frequency.
Fair enough. So when you guys talk about the prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells, have you guys done observations regarding those cells?
Observation,
Like
phenotypically,
like
or what type of observation?
like scientifically, like
Yes.
having.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the study of prokaryotic cells is the study of me.
Yes.
I'm a grow like right now. You got to look at it. I'm a grown up totipotent stem cell. That's what I am right now. So the way my body functions, I have to study that to study what I'm seeing, how my body reacts to the outside environment, inside environment. You got to
But
do that. I don't need to go in a lab to go do that. I don't to go know myself.
But what I do is I actually study the difference in everything.
Facts.
We study the animals.
Yeah.
We know, first of all, if you know the difference of the cells, you will know what organism is conducive and what isn't, simply based off of how their cells function. And then you can literally, I wonder if this animal or this plant or this organism or this, or, and then you do the research on that. Lectures, books, magazines, articles, a collective amount of research. And that's what I'm saying. This is like 10 years worth of research altogether, aligning it with spirituality plus, you know what I'm saying, the science, which they created religion just to combat science. They will tell you that themselves in their own creeds, in their own documents. They've said it plenty of times.
I definitely hear what you're saying. You could definitely gain understanding by observing yourself and other things around you. It's just my thing is that when it comes to religion, right? When people accept a religion, they just accept a religion without actually doing a certain type of observation. And when we talk about prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells, people wouldn't even know about it if these so-called scientists, didn't even bring it to the forefront. So this is why I mean, when I say, did you guys actually, go into a lab and actually see these things for yourself? I think if you were to see it,
To be honest,
you know what I'm
yes.
saying?
I mean, I actually study the plants outside. I study their function. I have, it's Asian pears that grow down the street for me. I had to study that. What else? Soap nuts that go down the street for me. I know that this is how I'm able to tell that these land masses are way closer than they tell us, because there are things that are native to this landmass, but then they're saying that they're native to Asia or native to somewhere else. So it's a when you do a collective amount of research, you are then able to put the pieces together, and then now, and all of those things that we're collecting are truth. I cannot change the function of a eukaryotic cell. I don't have to look at them under a microscope. That's why we talk about phenotype, but then I can also study their genome, which your phenotype is connected to your genome. So it's the same thing. I don't need man-made, you know what I'm saying? Literally, back in the day, we used to be able to tell and see straight through somebody using damn near X-ray vision and can be able to tell everything that's wrong with them. When you become more in tune with yourself, you know if some you can just guess, and it's not guessing at that point. It's then knowing. You see what I'm saying? I know that that's a eukaryotic animal or plant, and now I can use their quote unquote records, their quote unquote Google or Wikipedia, and basically fact check my damn self. Because I don't use Google. Only thing I use Google for is denotations. That's it.
And the
So go
thing
ahead, go
is,
ahead.
they can tell you that your heart is a cup, but they cannot change the functionality of it because all of these scientists, they always coming out and telling us that they cannot splice into our cells. They always make sure to tell us that they cannot splice into our cells. And this is many scientists saying this.
Yeah.
So it's like if they can't
Yeah.
splice into our cells, they cannot change the functionality
Facts.
of my cell because the functionality of my cell depends on my DNA, which they cannot splice because it's made up of UV light, which
Right.
is what you need to splice a cell.
But
So
they
you
can.
gotta start having critical thinking and putting the pieces together because the first computer was actually the liquid computer, which is neuromelanin. The computer that they made was a copy off that. They made it off that. That's where they got it from. Everything that these people made in this system was a copy of what we made in nature.
Or
Because
what our
we
cells do on a
on a
quantum
quantum
level
level.
or cellular level. Yeah, everything. Scaffolding, how they build these is what our cells do on a quantum level. Or is what we do on a quantum level. The Big Bang theory is not theoretical because that's what happens in the gestation period of a so-called black woman. So when you understand you for real, you're like, dang, this is the same thing that's happening in the cosmos. Man, neuromelanin is the only you know what I'm saying, molecule that is condensed sunlight. Now you're putting the pieces together. So that's why I encourage people study your neuromelanin.
But I mean, you definitely can put the pieces together for sure. But I think there's higher levels of observation. I'm not saying like go get a big ass lab, and you definitely could come to some type of understanding by just perceiving things. My only problem is that human beings, or I won't say human beings, but people in general tend to have a problem with regurgitating without actually doing higher levels of observation. Because even right now,
What?
we're in 2025, and
Would you say that
people.
I just came into this information today?
I wanted to say
Like, how do you, I just want to ask, like, you
Basically,
know what I'm saying?
I know what he's saying. He's saying because you didn't go to a college that
No, I'm not saying that.
you're
I'm not saying
basically.
that. I'm not
Well,
saying that.
then I mean, like if they're studying, if they're doing, the work, even on a surface level, they can make the distinction. I feel like you having to go into like the metaphysical realm to like understand, like, hey, this is how this works and this is how that works to come up with to come to a conclusion as to what they're saying now. I think that's kind of a stretch.
I think it's a stretch to come back to my live several days, in a row, and for me to put sources on the board and to tell you that it's a collective amount of research and then to question me. You see what I'm saying? I would much rather like to see you go live, my brother, so I can support you and add to your panel. But instead, you come in here and you question my intellect while still asking questions.
yeah,
Questioning is
I
not a
wanted to
bad thing.
say what higher levels of
Yeah.
observation
Do you?
did we need to do? You see what I'm
Hold
saying?
up. I hear what you're saying. Questioning is not. Go ahead.
When we can see what we see in reality, and then when we see what we read to help structure that. You see what I'm saying? Based off universal law. You gotta understand that these laws these people can't change and has to happen. They can't do there's things they cannot do. You see, these laws go off our genetics. and this all of these things are studying us. So that's what I'm a
We're literally telling our people to be self-sufficient and not depend on what's governing your mental, known as your government. So why would I go to a man-made lab, which is primitive as fuck, because that's what they use to look at our cells, to manipulate us. See, it's not just systematic oppression, right? That's cellular oppression, because they understand that they cannot splice your cell. So it's just an all-inclusive, you see what I'm saying? Research, collective amount of research, right? So
Yeah.
that is the higher level of observation to keep, which is observation, which is meditation, which is to always be in a state of observation. So it's nothing that you start and stop. It's nothing that you obtain, right? It's not a goal. It's just keep going.
It's a journey.
That's consciousness. That's how you raise your consciousness. But
Yeah.
abundance and gratitude. Go ahead, King.
I wasn't even finished what I said.
Oh,
Okay, cool.
go ahead. My bad. My bad. Go ahead. My bad. And then we'll get to the King. My bad.
Yeah. Well, me questioning, I don't think it doesn't take away from what you're trying to do. I think once you just see what I'm saying, it in a sense could, give you insight. Okay, maybe I could add this to my, toolkit so I could better see certain things. Because at the end of the day, reading books is primitive, and we could say even having a lab is primitive. But these are the things our species invented, right? They're just using the things we invented, and we are not using these things. We're just using other things. So I don't think I'm taking away or I'm trying to, put you
No,
down.
it's
It's more so.
fine.
Hold
It's
on.
fine. Yeah, it's fine.
TikTok. So hold on. Can I just ask you this, right?
Hold on. Out of
I,
respect,
and
Mozzie, out of respect, I just want to let King go because it keeps timing him out.
Yeah,
So
let King go. Let
let's
King
just
go.
let him express, and
Yeah,
then I'll
can
let
you
you go
hear
right
me?
afterwards. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I just want to ask, like, why do you think as a race we're so brainwashed though?
Repeat that.
As a race, why do you think we're so brainwashed?
You know
That's a
what?
good question.
I asked the same question to the co-host. I said, "What is wrong with the psyche of our people?"
We're chemically
Because
imbalanced.
Balance.
We're
Facts.
chemically imbalanced. Hold on, you
you're
asked the
giving these
question,
people
brother.
facts,
You,
Go.
you,
and they still can't take it in. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Why can't you just take this knowledge in?
Yeah, chemically imbalanced. When you have clogged meridians, right? Clogged
antigens.
arteries, antigens, nanoparasites, you can't see the truth. If you're
It's
eating meat,
mad, man.
you can't see the truth. If you're at the club, if you're drinking, if you're not paying attention to what you put in your body, and I mean like consistently, right? Because why are niggas outside sunbathing, leaving, and then getting a 6 ounce steak and going to the bar? Like that's no
It's
ascension.
crazy.
That's descension. So you see what I'm saying? The like he said, chemically imbalanced. That's the reason you are what you eat, what you consume. Period.
You're absolutely right.
Yep.
and
Absolutely right.
TikTok. I just wanted to respond to what you said
So
about what you said. So would you say like an historian, right? A well-studied historian. Do you believe that they had to exist in order to tell the story about what happened?
could you say that in a different? Say it again. Say it again. It didn't sound proper.
Because
Say it again.
you're saying that and they should have a higher knowledge. They should be in the labs and study these to come up with a more, I don't know, satisfying answer for you. And I'm just saying, like, okay, historians, do they have to live through historical events in order to tell the story to you, in order to like be deemed qualified?
Um, I will
Because,
say that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
because they didn't. The work was already done for them. They were reading sources in order to come up with their message or their conclusion. And they probably even went into these societies themselves, but they didn't live through those historical experiences. A bunch of people left sources for them in order to validate what they said.
For sure.
Facts.
For sure. For sure.
This
Well,
information is left in the hardest stone known to man. Go ahead. My bad.
for sure. But one thing about historians, right, is that they're not even tuned in on a frequency level. So when they do observe these, quote unquote sources, they're gonna necessarily give you fragments. And that's for a number of reasons. To give you
Well,
culture.
not everybody knows everything, bro. I mean,
Exactly.
of course they're gonna give you fragments.
No, but they're gonna give you fragments, right? Because they're of their um ignorance, right? They don't know about activating the biological structure. They don't know that when you activate the biological structure, if you read a stone, you're gonna get a higher level of that stone. You know, are you following me? You understand what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah, I mean, but I
so
mean, even still,
I'm not
what
I'm
you're
not I'm
referring
not. Go
to.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm sorry. What you're referring to is someone that's a specialist.
Don't matter.
And I think that, a lot of us, we're not really specialists when it comes down to the knowledge, unless that's like your really field of study.
Yeah.
Like, as you can
Unless that's
even
your
witness on this
culture. You can't
panel.
be a specialist if it
I,
ain't your culture. I'm sorry for interrupting,
I'm
but if it's not your culture,
Yeah, I mean, so what I was saying was, you would have to be a particular specialist. So when you come onto like these panels, and we're all over the place. Like the topic is about species, and we're talking about consciousness, and now we're talking about like history. So none of us are really
it's not all
specialists.
over the place.
So let me
It's
give you
like
an example. Let me give you an example. Let me just give you a proper
Wait,
example.
hold on,
So
y'all. Can we just introduce Mark really quickly? And while he's coming off mute, I thought that we were spiritual people and the soul was all knowing. You see what I'm saying? So how do we not know? How do you
exactly,
not know? They're studying
exact
it here.
facts.
So if you observe through higher consciousness, which their consciousness is completely different than yours, so it will always be higher.
Hmm.
That is the higher consciousness that we talking about, but it comes, y'all, from knowing thyself, which means even if they're putting out sources, even if they are books, even if what is you and what is not, they'll tell you that you're all human, knowing full fucking well that they have us listed as black extraterrestrials. That's a fact. So your sources are contradicting itself. And then when I look into your science, I see that we're not all the same haplogroup. So how the fuck could we be the same species when we're
Yeah,
different on a cellular level? See, at that point, like I said, a 7-year-old, I'm gonna have to bring the star seeds in here for real. A 7-year-old, a 9-year old, y'all, can tell you the difference in their cells versus a eukaryotic child, woman, whatever. They can tell you that on a scientific, biological, and a genetic level at 7 and 9. And not even that, a 3-year old can tell you he's a prokaryotic organism and that he has sun blood. You see what I'm saying? These children can say interstellar gases and nanodiamonds and can tell you where they come from. So it's not, like I say, children can understand this. You don't need a
they
degree
are the
to
future.
understand phenotype. That's literally what you see. That's what shows. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Go ahead, Mark, and then we'll get back to King and TikToker.
um, you guys, yo, I enjoy you guys, y'all go lives, but I do want to speak about a few topics that you guys was talking about, even if it don't relate to the topic. But I feel as though when we get into species, all of it relates, because then we get into the history of the species that we're talking about. We get into the history or the historic. Let me just talk about what I wanted to say when I heard it. Historical people, or these people that dig into the mounds and dig into all these ancient things, they ain't niggas. They just other races of people that's looking at the information that they have no idea what it is. So they're digging up culture and guessing what it means and who this is about and what they're talking about. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. I hope one of you guys put this 10 years of information in the book and start selling it. Thank you.
Abundance and gratitude, brother. Abundance and gratitude.
Abundance, brother, abundance.
The where the King and TikToker want to say something before we get to the next guest.
No, I'm just here listening. It's just really surprising how brainwashed we are, man. It's sad, man. Very sad.
Yeah.
So
That's
now,
why we need more brothers and sisters to be walking in their truth and
yep.
actually, you know what I'm saying? Because when they take TikTok, then what? You see what I'm saying? Then what?
Yeah.
When we can't bounce off of each other's energy like we are right now, then what? That's why I be saying, y'all, tap in with you. Study the cosmos, study your neuromelanin, study. It's nothing that you can grasp in one night. It's a
But
journey. Never stop. Never give up on you or your people. Giving up on you is just like giving up on your people.
Yep.
Giving up on your people is just like giving up you. You are one part of the whole. And until we understand that, we will not move forward. You can't move together in fragmented pieces. We have to come together and move as one. I don't know how that's, you know what I'm saying? Be one with you first. Piece yourself back together again so you are one whole piece and you can actually contribute. But we can't just say, man, how come they don't get it? You have to share your piece to the puzzle, brother, so that more people that can resonate with your energy and your vibration can ascend with us. Now, I don't go down to anybody's, you know what I'm saying, vibration. Y'all are going to have to tap in and do the research on your own. But don't come in my room questioning me when you haven't even looked into this shit. When you just learned what the fuck a haploid and diploid was when you came in here. That's the type of stuff where I just have to say cognitive dissonance. You see what I'm saying? That's just what we have to just, you know what I'm saying? So abundance and gratitude for that. TikToker, and then we'll get to Alina.
You get to Alina. You get
Go
to
ahead,
Alina.
Alina.
Howdy. I just wasn't quite sure what you mean. We're not the same species.
What do you think?
Oh, come on, man.
No, a Chihuahua and a Great Dane are both a dog. That's a species. Or are you talking about it in like a metaphorical sense?
What do you think?
I mean, like, humans are literally the same species, but in a metaphorical sense, people are
No, we are
different.
not.
If that's
How
what you
is
mean.
it? Well, then how would it be? How would it be different? If we're all the same, how would it somehow be different?
I mean,
Metaphysically.
how is a Chihuahua and a Great Dane different? Like, how is a Dalmatian and
Well, I
like
can
one of
tell
them
you how they are
yapping dogs?
All right, I can tell you how they're the same. They're both not natural to this planet. They're both genetically modified organisms.
Yeah, they're genetically spliced. So
Just
you
like the
brought up,
Caucasian man.
yeah, you brought up two organisms that were
Yeah,
genetically
they're
spliced
different
together.
genetic variations of the same species.
Why would you ask
So
us a question and then not allow us to answer?
exactly. So when we're talking about species, we're talking about our DNA, and our DNA is completely different than yours. Our chemical structure that makes up our DNA is different than yours. That's what we're saying, and that is a direct connection determined by our DNA, and that's connected to our phenotype. You see what I'm saying? So we don't have the same phenotype, which means our DNA is different, which means our cells follow a completely different function to construct the suit that we're walking in today.
If you're off the app, we can't hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Back on. There's genetic variations in the same species that make like the same species appear and function very differently. So is that like, you mean that there's just differences
What are
between
those
people?
variations?
Well, like in terms of like if we're talking about dogs, for example, like
No.
depending on what climate they
We're
live in,
talking
what
about
environment they live
humans.
in.
Alina, let's just talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
so-called humans.
Yeah, let's talk
Okay,
about that.
even humans. So you say like, but you know, what do you mean? Like, there's different things. Like, I think I see what you're saying in a way, but the words you're using was what was confusing me. Because in terms of species is a very clearly like scientifically defined thing. Like, there's very different representatives of the same species.
Okay, what is it?
No?
What is a species? What is speciation? Like, what is a single species? What? How do you define species?
I was curious myself, actually. I looked up the
No, I'm
definition and I
asking
can say
you.
it, but
Yeah,
it's
so
basically a
then,
category. It's a category of beings. It's a category of beings. So, for example, like a whale and a dog are two different species, right? But a
Why is that?
chihuahua and like a bulldog are both dogs.
And why
And
is that?
and the reason why you said that is because their phenotype, what they show, is different. You see what I'm saying? Their physical characteristics is different. And when we look at my phenotype and we look at your phenotype, that is two different phenotypes. And your phenotype, I'm gonna say it again, your phenotype is determined by your biology and your DNA. So obviously, if we have this two different phenotypes, that means our DNA is different. That means that our cells are doing two different functions to look two different ways. So that's
How is
just
that hard to understand?
that's simple.
Go
No,
ahead.
no. I mean, it's literally, we're talking about facts. Like, phenotype phenotypes and genotypes are two different things. Phenotypes are characteristics. Two of the different dogs, they're going to have different phenotypes, but they're the same species. Like,
Okay,
I think
I have
I'm
a
just,
question.
in terms of
that
like what the
your
language
genes,
means.
Alina, okay. Your genes, your genotype is phenotypically expressed to show what we see. Your phenotype is connected to your genes, it's just expressing your genetics outwardly. So I get that what you're saying, those are two genetically modified organisms. So that's not even a good example for this topic because we're talking about we're not the same species, and you're giving me something that is a part of the same species.
And you still haven't given us those genetic variations, and you keep going on and off the app to research things while talking to us about a topic that you seem to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No,
what is
of
the
course,
genetic
because
variation?
no, but it's because you're using words like and then, like it's like word soup sort of thing. That's why I was confused because I was literally making sure I don't misunderstand you. That's
So that
all.
means that you did
And yeah,
not
of course I have to
actually
check myself.
know what the word species was before you came up or the topic.
What do you mean? No, I'm not American. I know what word species means. And genotype as well. Like I know what these mean. That's why I was so confused. Because like if you
How
look
do
up
you know
the
and
definition,
confused?
Okay, can
Like,
you tell us how we're the same genetically, biologically, and phenotypically? How are we the same?
okay, I'll explain. So for example, during the Industrial Revolution, right, there was lots of smoke in the air. So the environment changed from like
Bro,
mostly having
you
an
bright colors to
industrial,
having dark colors.
Alina.
Wait, let me cook. So there was this moth that was really like all over the place, and most of these moths were white, like in color. But when the Industrial Revolution happened, they had to blend into the environment. So the moths that were more darker, they survived better. So that way you have the same species with different phenotypes, which are characteristics. Genotypes, their
Alina.
genes, are the same.
Can I respond there real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Ethan. Go ahead.
I want to say that you're complicating what they're asking way
Yeah,
too.
man.
For one, I'm gonna be completely honest. You're not making any sense when you speak. They're asking how are we the same species because your genetics determines phenotype, right?
Not always.
And
Not always.
Yes,
Phenotypes can be
always.
different within the same genetics, though.
Alina, allow someone else to speak, okay? That's how you have a conversation. All right? Allow him to finish and then you can respond.
This
Hold
is
on, y'all.
insane.
One at a time, y'all, and then I'll circle back through everybody. Let Ether finish, then we'll get to Alina, and then I'll get to King and TikToker.
All right, so Alina, like I said, genetics creates phenotype, and phenotype creates how you look on the outside. And we're saying we're not the same species because we don't phenotypically express ourselves in the same way. It doesn't matter if I'm here in America as a so-called black person. If you go into Africa, those people look just like me. Their hair grows up towards the sun, big nose, big lips, neuromelanated skin. It doesn't change, right? So my question to you is, how did your species get here on the planet? Because it's obvious we are not the same species. So that would be my question to you is, how did you get here?
Facts. Go ahead and answer that, Ali.
No. I'm
What happened?
I accidentally muted her. Go ahead. I was trying to bring her off mute. Go ahead. Alina, if you're off the app, we can't hear you.
Oh yeah, I'm here. No, I was literally just saying about the scientific definitions of the words. You say how can I don't know. You said the question of where did, let's say, white people come from. I don't know. But in terms of the same species, hummingbirds are the same species, and there's so many of them that look different. So inherently, what you were saying that your phenotype determines your genotype, that's not how it works. Phenotypes have physical characteristics.
Your genes
Right?
are connected
Genotypes
to
are
your
genes.
phenotype.
No?
Your gene. Okay, Alina, you can't ask me and
Exactly.
then tell me that I'm wrong and then not even know what's being discussed in here. You're switching between the app and
What do you mean?
Google, and then you're over talking us. Okay, so I'm gonna just move on to the next guest. Your phenotype, how you phenotypically present, is connected to your genetics. The reason why you look the way that you do is because of what's coded in your genetics.
Yep.
That's why we're saying we're not the same species, because we don't have the same genetic material. All right, I'm gonna come back to you. Just give me a second. Go ahead, King Alchemist. King Alchemist, go ahead. All right, go ahead, Jess.
Hi, how are you?
Abundance.
Great. I don't understand why it's not the same species. Like, if we were to look at the species of dogs, like it's a dog, right? But then there's different breeds. Like, why are we looking at
Okay,
the
the thing
humans
that
like
We're
that
not.
way?
no, I want to say this real quick.
Sure.
When these so-called scientists and all of these people, when they call these animals names, these are just titles. Just like when they gave us titles saying we so-called black, we this. These are just titles. A lion doesn't know that it's a lion. It's just going off his genes. People are calling it a lion. You're cool. You're the ones calling that an elephant. That's not what it is. These
Yeah.
dogs. Hold on.
Let him.
Let me
No, I'm
finish.
letting
These.
you.
Hold on. Let me then shush. These dogs are not even the same amongst themselves. That's called incomplete dominance. That's the same way with y'all. It's incomplete dominance. These dogs are genetically spliced. You see what I'm saying? With wolf DNA and other like muskrat, other these other ferrets and stuff like that. They were spliced with all of these different things as well. So when they procreate with each other with dogs, they don't make the exact replica of themselves. Neither do y'all. So when we talk about DNA, that makes up your phenotype. And DNA is just the genetic material that you have, the melanin that you have. And obviously, my melanin, the one that we have as so-called black people, it actually is conducive to the planet and the sun, and we can biosynthesize that sun. The melanin that you have breaks down under the sun, and it rejects the sun. And as the sun is trying to heal you, because the sun is the biggest energy source on this that this planet has. So that's what we're saying. You don't have a natural occurrence on this planet. You didn't naturally occur on this planet through a womb. You see what I'm saying? You were genetically edited into this reality. Your species was. You have all these different genetic material of animals that cannot naturally reproduce with each other to make up your organism. And they saying that that's how y'all came through a process of evolution. So y'all went from absorbing the sun to now y'all rejecting the sun, and y'all have a multiple animal DNA. That's not evolution. Evolution doesn't go backwards; it goes forward.
Okay. To rebuttal, I let you speak for a while, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just on TikTok live, there's a delay, right? So I was allowing you to speak. I was just apologizing. So I don't appreciate you saying shush. That's not very civil.
Just respond to what I'm saying. Don't worry about all that. Respond to
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm getting into that right now. So the thing is, the reason why it's evolution is because we went to cooler places and there was no need for melanin. Like right now in North America, if you're in the northern parts of it, there's not a need for the melanin. And that's why. So how is that not evolution? Because like if you don't use it, you lose it. That's a part of evolution.
How are
So
you not using the sun and it's literally shining every day? And when it hits your skin, your integumentary system, and your cells, like he just said, scientific and genetic fact that it breaks it down. So I'm gonna put a source on the board that actually just pretty much debunks what you just said. First
Yeah.
of all, there were only originally prokaryotes on the planet, period. So when you're talking about evolution, the basis of what that's explaining is how we went from being mainly prokaryotic organisms. They say we were the only form of life on Earth for millions of years until more complicated eukaryotic cells came into being through the process of evolution. The problem with evolution is that it's been deemed as theoretical and non-factual. Although it does have fact in the theory, the complete theory itself is non-factual because there is no explanation how a unicellular organism somehow morphed or mutated into a multicellular organism. You don't get animal DNA, and those animals also aren't conducive or natural to this planet by the fucking sun or being in the cold. That's not how genetics works. We would still be seeing that happen today, and we never seen it happen.
What would
So
we be
I'm
seeing
gonna
today?
ask, first of all, I'm still speaking. I just have a question for you. Do
Okay.
you understand evolution like inside and out to where you are able to have a well-versed, like a thorough conversation about evolution?
I'm not a scientist, no.
I didn't ask, I'm not, you don't have to be a scientist. I'm just saying, are you well-versed in this topic?
Not as well as a scientist. Like there's certain degrees to knowledge of evolution, like
So are
and
you able to hold a conversation like how we're holding a conversation this whole time? Can you actually state factual evidence using evolution? That's what I'm asking.
I would just have to bring it up, the evidence, because I don't have
I
evidence
have
off the top of my head, you know?
I have a question for the host.
No, hold on. So that's what all we're asking is you saying you bringing up evolution, and the base premise of evolution is how we went from haploids to diploids. So we just want to, if you're gonna say that we're the same species and bring up evolution to back you up,
That's the
that's
basis.
what we're gonna ask you. How do we go from haploids to diploids? And I just said that too earlier. How do we go from being autotroph people in a hotter environment and now moving into a colder environment and now having multiple DNA from multiple animals that cannot naturally reproduce with each other? And now my body rejects the sun. That's what I
So
was asking. And
I didn't
scientists don't know that to this day. You see what I'm saying?
None of
Scientists,
them.
no scientists to this day don't know how we went from haploids to diploids.
Not
So
one.
so you just say you don't know as much as a scientist, but this is what
It's
scientists are
just
saying.
they don't even know.
Can I ask a question?
We have a couple more guests. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, King. It's look. Go ahead.
How do these Caucasians believe they're natural to Mother Earth and they can't even take the rays from the sun?
Yeah.
That's what confuses
That's
me.
a very like. Matter of fact, I'm
Yeah.
so glad you said that, brother.
They undergo acute body radiation. Their body gets overloaded with radiation and starts to deteriorate their DNA. Look up
Yeah,
for them. I would tell them you should look up.
yeah, I know this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for them, I would say y'all should look up what charged ionized particles does to DNA, and it damages y'all
They
DNA.
come
That's how
from,
they
they'll make,
get
they'll,
removed.
And this is a picture of what sunscreen looks like under UV light. I hope y'all know y'all are literally slapping on unintentional blackface just to be able to absorb this
to the
rays.
Caucasian.
Like this is y'all. This is what y'all have been doing for a long ass time. This is what y'all look like. And when we're talking about neuromelanin, right? That is the only molecule that can condense sunlight, and that is also condensed sunlight. Y'all are you melanated, and you specifically, Jess and Alina. No disrespect. I'm telling you that this is a fact. Y'all are pheomelanated beings. That is animal melanin. And when we're referring to animal melanin, we're talking about we're talking about the haplogroup or the so-called humans, right? Because we're not the same species and we're not labeled as a part of being the same haplogroup. We're talking about animals that are also not conducive to this planet. So a chicken is not natural. A cat, a domesticated cat, these domesticated ass dogs y'all keep talking about are not even natural to this planet. They have been genetically modified in a lab. And
Yep.
unfortunately, so have you, because there is electrical fusion that's been taking place on this planet way longer than what people want to admit. Your scientists, your historians are admitting to electroporation, transfection, racemization, CRISPR-Cas9, introgression, which is done through hybridization. So again, just because these animals are on our planet does not mean that they're natural or biologically identify with it. Just because you're on the same planet as me,
So,
working in
sister,
a part of the same system as me, does not mean that I'm conducive to the system that the people that's within your haplogroup created, that I'm natural or conducive to that. And it doesn't mean that you're natural to this plane. There's no way that a being that is sulfur and ammonia based that can biologically identify with the planet, with this planet that we're on. That's all I was gonna say. I do just
sister,
want
can
to
I
get to the
ask a
next
question?
guest. Hold on, the king. I just want to get to King Alchemist because he hasn't spoken at all, and he's been real patient. Or she, I can't see. Go ahead.
All right.
I don't know. I'm just listening in. Like all I gotta say is basically just foreign organism in an ecosystem, and that's why we have the what we have when it comes to taking rays from the sun. You're not from here. Flat out, simple, period. So I don't even know what this discussion is about. We're not the same.
Yeah, but they think we are,
Mm.
so that's the reason why we're
Yeah.
addressing them. But abundance and gratitude for that. I'm mad in the lab about because they can't figure out how they got here. I have documents on my phone. In a minute I'll try to pull them up where it's a literal professor at one of these universities that literally talks about somatic parthenogenesis. That's his forte. Why do you have 1,300 publications of somatic parthenogenesis? And why are 800 of them talking about you and your haplogroup, or excuse me, your particular portion of the incomplete dominant species that you're a part of? See, they're not even the same amongst themselves. So none of their creation stories are going to align, but they all have the same commonality that they are here through electrical fusion. And that's a fact. That's a fact. History Channel will tell you that. National Geographic will tell you that. This shit is not hard to find, but then there's too much evidence and proof in the pudding that y'all are not there. You, nigga, I have never smelt like a dog when I got wet. There's a scientific and a genetic explanation for why that happens. That's why I say, not a safe space, facts over feelings. My people didn't come from no damn apes. Evolution didn't ever happen, so there's no way we could have come from apes when we don't even phenotypically present the same as them. Go ahead, Alina. You said you had a question earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah, that graphic with the bacteria. Can you put it up again? Because I couldn't say anything when you put it up. Yeah. Which one of these two types makes up the human body?
Which one of those two types make up you? I've already
Yeah, which
explained
one?
that. I already
No, I'm
explained that.
asking.
No, I'm asking because I've literally said it 5 times though.
Eukaryotes, they're the ones that make up the human body. Prokaryotes are the ones that are for like plants and stuff. So these are two completely different types of cell, right?
Two completely different type of cells, but the cells are referring to the function of the organism because it's your cells that make up an organism. So it's not just talking
Yeah.
about plants. It's not,
So which ones?
again,
So which
so
ones?
Alina,
The
so
ones that make
Alina,
up
so
us.
Alina,
So the one.
Alina. We're
I
not
still
the
haven't
same.
managed to say
Okay.
anything. I'm
Go ahead.
haven't managed.
Go
I just
ahead. You asked me a question and I answered it. And then you overtalked me in my answer. Go ahead.
no. I was just saying that
Go
like
ahead.
you
Go
were
ahead.
saying that like we don't understand any of this, and I'm literally saying that the
You're
human body is
Googling
made
as
out
I'm
of.
telling you the words, and you're trying to
Yeah,
tell me that
of
I'm
course.
wrong. I'm gonna go ahead and get
No,
your ass
because
out of here because now you're fucking with me. The fuck? You're not gonna sit there on my platform and I'm gonna give you the words. Oh, that's for this when you didn't even know. You didn't even know what species was until we told you. Like, what the fuck? You're not gonna try to clock me on my fucking panel when you don't even know the words that's being spoken. Well, I'm not in America, so I don't really know the words, so let me Google them. Like, nigga, genetics don't change because you're in Germany or America. Again, like he said, titles created by people that don't even have the same field of vision as me. Fuck you mean?
Yeah, and the thing is, when you say, "Oh, eukaryotes make up the human body,"
The
so-called
fuck?
black people, we are not humans. Again, we are not the same
Sitting
species.
here giving you the answer.
Y'all have human animal DNA. This is why they say human share DNA with all these different animals that cannot naturally reproduce with each other. So y'all
The
couldn't tell us how
fuck?
you're biologically identified with the planet. You couldn't tell us shit. Y'all both
Like,
came
we
here.
giving you the
The other one
words.
left talking about I'll be right
Y'all
back. You don't
both
even
talking
gotta
about dogs when you sat here and heard us debunk her
for
about the
real.
dogs, and then you came here. So when dogs, like, yo, we just said that those are genetically modified. Those are eukaryotic organisms.
And we
Like,
get
come
it
on,
that y'all
y'all.
splice with the dogs, so that's the first thing that y'all go with. You see what I'm saying? So we get it, but like, yo,
Yeah, and you
let's
talking
actually
about
talk about real
humiliation
shit.
ritual, but you requested up several times. I'm gonna help you out. Have a great day in abundance. Go ahead, Zoe. Welcome in.
Did you say for me to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you know, I think it's unfair to sit there and quote white science and say that white people smell like dogs. That is absolutely.
How when it's your science? You said that it was white science, but white
You're
science is
quoting.
telling us that.
You're not understanding it. First of all, second of all, it is.
I'm discussing genetics, sir. Are we the same species or not? Let's just go back to the main topic on the screen. All right. Why would you piggyback off of what someone else is saying? Let's start fresh with you, okay? Are we the same species?
No.
Okay then. So if we're not the same species, you see what I'm saying? What's your point of saying what you just said and coming up if you agreed?
Because it was absolutely terrible to say something like that about a superior species.
I'm finna speak on here.
Superior?
Who used the word superior?
He
You guys
did.
did a million ways. Don't try to play word games with some. I
We're
invented this
talking
language
about
we're
genetic
speaking.
differences, sir.
I invented this
And the
language
thing
we're
is,
speaking. You can't even invent an advanced language.
you talking about white science. You talking about white science
You
when
know
they're
the way you
all
guys.
when all okay. You're talking about white science when all of these science books or scientific experiments and things that they're doing is all studying us. That's all it's doing. That's all y'all
Let
have
me
been
put
doing.
it to
That's
You
you this
all.
take
way.
You
you
see what I'm
first
saying?
of all,
Hold
it's
on.
it's hard for you to even, you know what I'm saying? Wait your turn. Respectfully, there's a psychological and a genetic explanation for why you're over talking me right now. All right?
Exactly.
Your psyche is connected to your genome, and we have discussed your genome today.
And
There is
there's
multiple
five
different animal
exactly
genetics, animal
speaking.
material speaking through one nucleus. Your lower brain is bigger than your upper brain. It's gonna cause you to crash out. So again, are we the same species? You said no. Thank you. Gratitude and abundance. Go ahead, sister. Welcome up, Sabraya.
Abundance.
Oh, let me turn my mic on. Hello.
We can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Abundance, sister.
I just wanted to say abundance. You could literally look up pictures of what white people look like before y'all were civilized. If you look up
Uh,
like wild men on Google, you will see
you better
how
cook,
y'all
sis.
looked before y'all were civilized. Literally, y'all look like Beauty and the Beast, like the
Caveman.
Beast off Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, literally like that. So I don't know why it's so hard to get it through y'all's like head that we are not the same species, but okay.
My people never look like this.
Yeah, we ain't. That's hypertrichosis. They try to say
Right.
that's a so-called disease for y'all, but that's just gene expression of animal DNA that y'all possess.
My people never. My people, let's just start with the facts. My people never came out of caves on all fours with
Never.
hypertrichosis. Like, and I can't wait to show y'all this one. It's just, I have so much
Yeah,
pictures.
Who
vestigial.
started the black woman?
Like, we
Yes,
never had vestigial tails, bro.
facts. We never
Like,
had
being
that.
born with a tail still to this day is crazy. First of all, our skulls were never this fucking small. Like, come on, bro. This is a whole nother, this is another part of this part of your, I have to take these pictures off fast too. But this part of your haplogroup, they did go extinct. That's called Homo floresiensis.
Yep,
You see what I'm saying? Um, we never look like this. These are
exactly.
y'all. Y'all are painting each
Wild men.
other. Y'all are painting pictures of each other. My bad. I think I'm taking them off too fast.
Oh
You
no,
see what I'm saying?
animals. Look at them.
We never look like this. And why did y'all paint yourselves like this? What
They know what
happened?
they are.
Facts. Let's just talk about it. Facts over feelings.
Exactly. See, like, that's
Now
crazy.
you know where the
Gene
wet dog
expression.
smell
That's
comes
what we
from.
saying. That's all we talking about. Genetics. We're not talking about skin color.
Yeah.
We're not talking about racism, races. We're not talking about none of that. We're talking about what makes up that
Facts.
skin color, which is your genetic material. And we don't have the same genetic material. And your genetic material is connected to animals and is connected to multiple animals. That's all we saying. So we just showing you the facts.
Here's literal, you see what I'm saying? The flying primate hypothesis. Again, here's what I was talking about, y'all. 1,300 publications. Bat. Let me show you. Hold on. That little small skull I just put on the screen is the skull of a Homo floresiensis person, if you will. So I'm gonna show you what they look like. Give me a second. This is them. This is the bat at the top that they are spliced with. This is what they look like in the middle. That's Homo floresiensis. They went extinct about what, 2 to 5,000 years ago? Not that long ago.
Yep.
Y'all just came out of the cave 6,000 to 7,000 years ago like this. Like, what the fuck? My people never looked like this, bro. Booty tooted to the
Never.
ceiling, all fours. Like, bro, come
Like,
on.
come on, bro.
Vestigios tail still being born with him today is crazy. 2025?
You try to say we the same, bro? Come on,
Not
bro.
even that. We can talk about how y'all are still being born. Give me a second. And I need F1s in the chat for this one because this is somebody. This man right here claims to be native or indigenous
That's a Davidian.
To Australia.
to Australia. And you want to know what's also considered to be native to Australia? Quit fucking playing. I'm not even trying to do hate
This
speech
is
or
just
nothing. This is
genetic
genetics
facts.
and how they are expressed. Facts. You can't tell me that Dravidian man that was just on the screen. Look, when we were talking about somatic parthenogenesis, when I just showed you that Rapi whatever man that was just with that publication about the Homo floresiensis, this man shared, he has 1,300 publications of how his people evolved from fucking bats. Professor, teaching
I
this
want
shit
you to
at
look up in
universities
the
every
sky. I
day.
want you to look up at the sky at the rocket ships that we make and just realize that
You
you're
didn't make
not
them again. So I'm going to show you what scaffolding is. What my cells do on a
Man.
quantum level, you stole from me. You took our army from fucking ants, prokaryotic
Yeah.
insects, nigga.
Your
The he-
helicopters
like
that you took that from dragonflies, what we created, what we seeded here. You didn't make anything. Everything that the computer that comes from our liquid computer, which is neuromelanin. All of that
facts.
shit, you made it from what our genetics produces,
This
and
is
it's an extension of
scaffolding.
our shit.
That's scaffolding, y'all. I'm taking it off too fast. That's scaffolding. When you look at the Big Bang Theory, I think it's number 4 or 5. They tell you that that quantum material begins to scaffold. The Big Bang Theory is not theoretical. That's literally what happens in the so-called gestation period of when a so-called black woman. So what our cells do, scaffolding you're using for buildings. Like we just said, your helicopters were built from a model after dragonflies, prokaryotic organisms. We're the only thing here. Then somehow or another, y'all popped up on the planet. None of y'all scientists, historians, psychologists, neurologists, none of y'all can tell me how y'all got here, but y'all study this shit every day?
Exactly. You
You don't
took
even know your
submarines from whales and
grandfather.
everything. Y'all think y'all slick. You see what I'm saying?
You don't know what?
Well,
What did he just
when
say?
we already created and making a fucking artificial version of it that actually destroys the earth and the ecosystem and all the organic life on it. That's what y'all do. Y'all just destroy life. Y'all are a
Facts.
Y'all
virus.
colonized the still
Scientists,
And
Native
it's
this is
not, and
American.
it's no hate speech,
this is
sir.
no hate speech.
I
This
have on the outside of this, I just want to reset the room. It's a lot of people in here. This is not a safe space when you're talking about genetics, speciation, who's conducive to the planet and who's not. You're gonna have to drop the feelings out of here because when we look at genetic material from eukaryotic and prokaryotic organisms, they're not the same. That is a fact.
Yep.
Period. All right.
And scientists classify y'all species as a virus. And when you look up a virus, they need a host to sustain life on the planet. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, y'all needed us to sustain life on this planet through our totipotent stem cell, which produces light or life. This is where the sun comes from. You see what I'm saying? We produce that, and that's y'all. That's what y'all need to sustain life on this planet. And they say these viruses, they steal all the resources and materials from the host. And that's what y'all been doing on a macro level. And they don't consider these viruses to be alive. Without the host, without us, y'all
There
wouldn't
has
even.
be
Without
here.
us being here, you wouldn't even be alive.
Like if it
You see what I'm
wasn't for
saying?
introgression, you would not be walking. You wouldn't be on a planet. You wouldn't be on a panel. You wouldn't be working, sipping coffee out of a cup. None of that. If it wasn't for the igniter, the totipotent stem cell, the
Exactly.
sparker of life, all organic life. So just because you're here, sir, does not mean that you're conducive.
I
Just
will
because
say that
cruciferous vegetables grow out of your ground does not mean that they should go in your body.
you're an
Just because
STD.
something has benefits does not mean that it has pros and cons for your genetic makeup. And I'm speaking to my people. All right. I want y'all to know you have to study your neuromelanin.
Facts.
You have to feed that because that's what's programming all of your cells. So when y'all saying, how do we eat and do, should we eat according to our blood type? That's just telling me the amount of antigens you have in your blood. You see this eukaryotic man laughing at the truth?
Trying to
Yeah,
laugh the pain away.
Yeah.
these Caucasian people are the
Trying to laugh the
devils.
pain
They are
away.
the
Nah, bro,
devils.
this is genetic facts.
Go ahead, King.
Scientists don't even say you're alive, bro. Think
Oh
about that.
yeah,
The
facts.
Caucasian man,
You're talking about white
the
science.
Caucasian man
We're
was
talking about
specifically
prokaryotic
to
versus
destroy.
eukaryotic. Let the brother go. You come on, respect now. Go ahead, King.
The Caucasian man was specifically put on Mother Earth to destroy her and us, destroy all of us. That's what they're putting. That's their whole purpose. They don't bring nothing good here, nothing at all.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's laughing like that, that's the devil. The way he's
Facts.
laughing, that's
Stop,
the
brother.
devil right there. These men are devils. They're demons. They need to go,
They're-
man. They need to go.
It's just
Need
their
to go.
pawns on the chessboard. I'm not even gonna go, you know what I'm saying, that far deep into it, although you can. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? All the proof in the pudding is for that when you look at religion and when you're decoding, especially starting with Parthenogenesis. You see what I'm saying? But again, when we're looking at the facts, bro, the facts are the facts. We didn't go from haploids to diploids. You're talking about white science, but you're on a so-called black planet. Fuck you mean? What's your biological biological identification to the planet as a sulfur and ammonia-based man?
Mm-hmm.
This might not be the room for you, buddy. I'm gonna come clean. Now you're on mute. You're saying white science, black planet. How about that? 9 ether.
This whole universe is a so-called black woman's womb. So
I
can
thought
you
you
tell?
turned my microphone back on.
What did this demon say?
Demon said you
Hey,
can't
brother.
even invent an advanced language. You can't even invent shoes. You
We
can't
Ah,
invented
invent
shut the
everything.
fuck
Y'all
up.
anything.
And you was
stole
walking
it.
on your hands and your
Bro,
fucking knees. What are you talking
after
about?
You
wait, hold
can't
on.
invent
After all we just
anything.
said about you not even being a living system, living organism, scientists say that you're not even. You talking about shoes? This nigga talking about shoes.
Sister, were
Yeah,
you
you
trying to say
can't even
something?
invent shoes.
This guy was crawling out these caves before they come in. These people here,
That was
man.
just in case 6 to 7,000 years ago, Zoe. How did y'all go from fumbling around with stones for 2 million years, right? So-called 2 million years. And then all of a sudden in 50,000, you mastered computers? Like, I'm just asking you, how are y'all struggling with stones and now you're building computers in 50,000 years after barely being able to make fire with sticks for 2 million years as a species?
Oh, what about you? You guys still can't even. You can't invent
You're
anything.
saying what we still can't do, but you're still copying everything that we do. You're still trying to
That's trauma. That's
oppress us on a
trauma.
cellular level. And then you
They
built a
bred you
system
guys.
to literally combat the so-called black woman because she's that powerful. The thing
Very
is,
too
this
powerful.
this this earth is a part of the same cosmos that we're talking about. So where's Earth, sir? If you don't biologically identify with the cosmos, how could you biologically identify with this planet that's in the same cosmos? These are facts. I'm just telling you that your scientists don't know how you got here, but they are stating that prokaryotic organisms were the only organisms on this planet for millions of years until y'all came here. And when y'all came here, they don't know how y'all got here.
They
Like
said it's complicated. It's
I'm using
complex.
your white science, your own logic against you, and you can't even answer it. And you got this evil Dracula ass laugh. Like, can you say the
Yeah, man.
facts? Or I'm gonna have to move on
Dracula.
respectfully.
Everything you guys think of is something that we invented. That's the way it's always
We didn't
How,
been.
when
invent
you were
shit.
struggling with stones for 2 million years?
We had
How,
to
when you
teach
were
you guys
already
how
on the
to
planet,
bathe. Like, what do you
navigating the
mean?
stars, circumnavigating the stars?
Your body rejects
Astrology,
the
astronomy, you learn
sun,
from
bro.
us.
Hey, what's the poorest part of the
Bro,
Western
forget it.
world?
Your body rejects the sun.
Haiti.
The
What's
sun
in that?
feeds
Why is
all
Haiti
life
the
and
poorest
regulates
place?
all life on the planet. Your
Why
body
is
rejects
Haiti
the sun.
immense?
More
And
than
the Dominican
800,000 of
Republic
your
is far
people. I
wealthier
can't
than.
talk at the same.
Bro.
More than 800,000 of your people got unalived by the sun this year, and they're lying about the numbers. It's obviously more. You see what I'm
The
saying?
Caucasian man soon
Y'all
gonna
are
perish
undergoing
anyway.
acute body radiation. The 1p36 gene is getting deleted, and that deals with cognitive thinking and motor skills. And that's why y'all are starting to be more erratic throughout the planet. This is facts. Y'all are getting removed by the sun. How is that possible?
You
And you
said
were
the same
organic to
thing
the
in the
planet.
1980s after one of us was just messing around with one of
You
you
can't
outside
even
of a
take the
convenience store,
sun.
just playing around, talking to just a black
And you're
person
just chatting
for a
about the
joke.
shit, man.
Where's the guy with the British accent living over there?
You're chatting about shit, man.
Nice accent, buddy.
Yeah, you're
You're
just
not
chatting
talking
shit.
Yeah,
Shut the
you
fuck
and
hypothetically.
you
You
up.
gotta
have
get you out of here.
you have a lack of magnetism in your voice. Literally, the
Yeah, we
planet is
done with you.
electromagnetism, and everybody up here has the magnetism that biologically corresponds to this planet on even on an etheric level just by simple vibration, bro. That means that the sun or the planet don't know you. The sun is actually trying to heal you, but when it hits your integumentary system, you literally begin to break down on a cellular level. And you seen the pictures of sunblock under UV light, bro. You
Yeah.
have unintentional blackface on your face for sunscreen. But then you're telling me that we're not this and we're not that. We showed you your species, sir.
Yeah. Study them dark ages.
Yeah,
You're
that's
heading
what
right.
y'all are going back.
All who
Facts.
forgot their past is deemed to repeat it. Y'all going right back to them. See what
Facts.
I'm saying? Y'all going right back to
Animal
the dark
instincts
ages.
coming out.
TikToker, what's up? We haven't heard from you in a minute.
Yeah, so I have a question. So who created these so-called white people?
I know you've asked us that before,
Extraterrestrials.
so what did
Yeah.
you say, King?
Extraterrestrials created
Facts,
these
brother.
beings.
Yep. Extraterrestrials created these beings. And TikToker, you've been on the panel many
Like he
times
just
where we
keeps
explain it. You can ask us. You
asking
keep
the
asking us
same.
the same things, and you keep being on the panels and haven't done the research. And we're not the only intelligent life form that's been on the planet. And y'all talking about proof? Y'all can go. David Wilcock talks about this. Zechariah Zinke talks about this. The Sumerian tablets talk about this. And these are your species talking about how they were spliced. They were spliced to be on this planet. You know, by extraterrestrials. You know what I'm saying? And we're not the only ones here. And if you look at a lie in the north, where all compasses point to, it points to Rufus Niagara or BlackRock, or you could also look at it as a company that owns all these other sub companies. But the BlackRock is the highest mountain that sits in the North Pole that touches the magnetic dome. You see what I'm saying? And this is where all the children, our children and women, are getting trafficked at underground. This is where it's happening at. You see what I'm saying? By these extraterrestrials that are using our DEA to sustain life on the planet, and us, and using the energy from Earth through the magnetic dome.
For anybody that's saying proof, 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 like why are you asking me for proof instead of just coming up here to debunk me? That's the thing. Like
Exactly.
you're scientists. These are people that share the same genetic material as you or not, incomplete dominance, that are literally saying they don't know how y'all got here. But they do say that it had to be someone with knowledge of being able to use electrical fusion. If y'all were just in the caves struggling with stones for 2 million years, there's no way that y'all could have done it. Number one. And prokaryotic people, there is no reason for us to create you if we know that you're literally going to destroy our planet.
Yeah, I only been on this live a couple of times. I haven't been on it many times.
You've been here at least 3
Nah,
or 4
you
times,
been here
but
enough,
it's okay.
brother.
I was just, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead, King Alchemist.
Was it finished what
I
I was
don't know.
saying?
I'm just listening, sister. I'm just listening.
No, I was talking about King Alchemist.
All I gotta say is
Oh,
like
my bad.
people in the comments keep talking about proof, 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 proof. Like these people tell you guys who created them. Like if you look at the Sumerian tablets, they tell you the Anunnaki made them. These are the people who created us. These are the people who gave us our writing, our knowledge. This is how we are able to flourish as a society. They taught us everything we know. We were created as a slave race for these beings.
When you say we, you got to talk about them. And Anunnaki, I hear what you're saying,
No,
but Anunnaki.
I'm saying in the place of like the Sumerians when they wrote the Sumerian tablets, like they're literally telling you who created them.
Oh,
Like they're
okay,
saying
yeah.
they got it. Like this is who we got our creation from. This is who taught us this. This is who taught us that. This is who. This is where we got it from. They're literally telling you this, and you
Yeah,
guys are sitting here saying
their
proof, proof, proof.
creators. their creators are the ones who wrote the Bible, made the education, all constructed everything for them, and then all the races had to do was just play the part. That's why it's a whole big movie script. It's just all they had to do was just play the part, and it was all to chemically oppress us and divide us from us. And Anunnaki just means those who came from above. And again, I'm gonna say we're not the so-called black people. Although that we're abundant throughout the cosmos, we're not the only intelligent life forms throughout the cosmos. So that can mean anybody. You see what I'm saying? So that's why when people say, oh, we built them, we created them, we didn't create them. Yakub just means supplanter. It could be anybody as well. These are just names that this entity that's been on this planet has been hiding behind, so it can have us more confused on not finding out what is the root cause of this. That's why we keep focusing on the fact that we're the same as these species when there's a whole entity that and his crew that orchestrated this. That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah, basically it
abundance to
all
that
boils
brother,
down
that
to
like
like
that's facts.
they were
The
created
tablets
by
say it.
another group of beings from elsewhere.
Oh, so what'd you say, brother? My fault. Go ahead.
I said basically it all boils down to they were created from a group of beings from elsewhere.
Yes, but the group of beings that created them, we created their species because they're a prokaryotic species. But the thing is, they went too far with the test because all of this that is happening on the planet to so-called black people is a test on our unity and a test on how much we really know ourselves. That's why the main thing right now for us to that so-called black people deal with is identity because we don't know ourselves. And that's what we've been falling down in frequency on is knowing less and less of ourselves. And that's what it was. And this entity that's been on the planet put us through this test. And right now, Trump, the sound of the trumpets, you see what I'm saying? Trump is now getting ready to reveal this entity on the planet. He's the introducer to these entities that have been on the planet genetically splicing on the ground and all of these things and trafficking children on the ground. You see what I'm saying? This is what's happening. And people are laughing, but children are getting snatched. And you could clearly see there's tunnels undergoing children museums, the tiny hat people over there coming out of the caves and stuff like that. And shit like that. This is facts. You can't deny that. And then when we look at genetics, we see that this is why they've been doing it. And it makes sense. You see what I'm saying? This is why we say prokaryotic cells deal with past, present, and future. You won't know what happened on this planet if you just study yourself. Because
because somebody is saying it's a treaty, and y'all, we've been falling in frequency for 300,000 years. Okay, so in the last 300,000 years, you have to understand we have not known thyself. We have not remembered thyself. So we've been in a continuous fall in frequency, and this is the lowest frequency that our anatomy can take. Hence why it's the rise of the divine feminine, and it's that chaos energy that is needing to be restored. So everything has to shut down for children because everybody starts out as a starseed. So I don't know why people are laughing like you didn't start out as a child. If your children are being snatched on a planet that they biologically identify with, nigga, that shit has to shut down. The divine beings have to remember at some point who the fuck they are. So that's all I'm saying. This was a fat ass test, and niggas are greatly failing at it. You see what I'm saying? Because they subscribe to what the next person is saying instead of actually, you know what I'm saying? The universe isn't going to tell you and give you instructions when her to do something else when her children are literally being snatched. How does her species continue if her children are being snatched? If the women are being snatched? So I don't know how that's funny. Children being snatched by a haplogroup that's not that doesn't identify with this planet is not funny. And you're in this gene expression because a part of phenotype is behavior. So y'all laughing at that shit just shows you're proving our point. Primitive, animalistic. And I can actually show y'all what y'all were doing to your children during the cave days. Give me a second. And this is what your scientists are saying about your own people. You see what I'm saying? This is not made up. This is like, here's the start of it right here. See what I'm saying? Neanderthal mystery, the ancient cavemen. You see what I'm saying? Y'all can read that. And I'm going to show you the next, once you scroll down from that, what it says. Y'all were just in this state 6,000 to 7,000 years ago, y'all. This is the type of stuff that y'all did to your children. You see what I'm saying? You used to take wooden spears and gash your children with it. Don't even get me started with that sexual dysmorphia shit. We couldn't even tell who the fuck was who. We can talk about y'all coming out of the caves, but we didn't know who the fuck was who. And we still don't. This nigga in the other room laughing. But nah, facts. This is what y'all used to do to your children. We don't know who the fuck is who.
Yeah.
Facts. You see what I'm saying?
Because the animals that you're spliced with, if you could have the cow that you're spliced with could be a female, and then the cow, and then you could have another animal and you could be a male. And then now you come out with sexual dimorphism. You can look this up. This is facts. So it's like y'all are going through all of these. Yeah, F1. I didn't mean. I meant to say sexual. But y'all gotta really look at that. That shit weird. Like, y'all are a whole an abomination. You see what I'm saying? Y'all are not supposed to be on this planet. So it's just like that. But what's it called? What is it? You reached the end. I think you're next. Then King, we'll get to y'all.
We was aliens and shit, yo. I'm telling y'all. Wow, he's this demon now.
Yeah, your psychological state is connected to your G's, man. That's all we be saying. They just wasting their own energy to do that. Shit, wow. I'm trying to add these people up, but does anybody want to add anything? Ether or King?
Hey guys, can you hear me good?
Yeah, we can.
No, I'm just saying we will rise again, man. We will rise.
You rising right now,
rise
brother.
again.
Go ahead, Supreme.
Right now.
Go ahead, Supreme.
No, I'm just asking if you guys can hear me. That's it.
Yeah, we can hear you. What brought you up here? Do you think we're the same species? Do you think the so-called human race is the same species within itself?
That's a very good question. To be honest,
we can't really hear you. There's a lot of background noise, so I don't know if you want to. What's going on?
Can you hear me now? Maybe better.
Wait. Talk again. While you're dealing with that, we'll get right back to you. But do the right thing.
You can hear me. I'm sure you can hear me right now.
Okay,
I'm sure.
yeah, you good. Go ahead. Do you think
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Go ahead.
Now, that's a very good question you just asked, to be honest. Can you maybe clarify your question a little bit, please?
I mean, you said it's a good question, so it seemed like you comprehended it, brother. So go ahead.
Yes, I get it. I mean, we are not the same species. That's what I see on the page, right? On the TikTok. So I want to know what exactly are we talking about, to be honest. I still agree with all you said, by the way, what I heard.
So you agree with what we said, but you don't know what we're talking about. You wanted me to clarify. Okay. So-called black people, we have our DNA is completely different than everybody else's DNA, and that makes us a completely different completely different organism. That makes us a completely different species than everybody outside the so-called black race. Our DNA is different. Our microbiome is different. Everything about us, down to our integumentary system, audible sensory system, the photoreceptors in our eye, then the mechanoreceptors on our skin, everything is different. You see what I'm saying? So that's what we're saying. We're not the same species. And our people don't know that right now. And that's what we really need to know in the time or energy that we're heading in. That's what we're saying. We're not the same species.
Okay, I didn't take him down. He left.
Oh,
Go ahead. Go do the right thing.
No, I was just going to add a couple points to that. Number one in particular, my wife is a psychologist, and we talk about this kind of thing all the time. We talk about like the mass sort of consciousness of, YT folk or whatever you want to call them versus black people. You know what I mean? And black people, obviously, we got things to fix, but a lot of things to fix. But YT people, they seem to have like this mass hysteria and mass psychosis. You know what I'm saying? And you can literally trigger large populations of groups of them just with the mention of a certain event or
I don't know. He went offline on his own. I don't know what happened.
Maybe he lost connection.
Yeah, maybe his phone got on the live though, lost connection. But we got 95 people in here, and we talking about we're not the same species. And I know not all 95 of y'all agree. So y'all can come up. I don't know what happened, brother. You can come back up. I don't know what happened. Come back up and express your mind, brother.
My bad. Can y'all hear me? I'm in Puerto Rico right now, and the internet connection ain't great.
You good. Go ahead.
I was just saying they can literally be triggered by, you can trigger a large population of them by just one small event. Like, just look at the history of lynchings. You know what I mean, in the United States.
F1, y'all, we can't say the L word on here. My
I'm
bad,
sorry.
brother. You
You know what
good?
I mean.
Yeah.
But it's anything, and you can literally have them work globally for hundreds of years against their own, individual and familial needs to literally make sure that they're on a certain social status above other people. Now, it's crazy because I just watched this documentary about DuPont Oil or DuPont and what they did in West Virginia, right? Now, y'all know West Virginia is a completely, I'm not talking about politics, but just peep the story. Republican, red state, all the way through, they always have been, right? DuPont literally poisoned these people, these are all white tea people's water for years and gave their kids generations of birth defects and all types of stuff like that, right? They literally, even when they found out what DuPont was doing, because, culturally they felt like, all the Republican senators that had betrayed them and the local politicians that had betrayed them that allowed DuPont to do that, they felt that because they were conservative or whatever and stuff like that, that they basically created a whole new system where not DuPont, but another company could come in and do the same thing. And it's still causing these same things, same issues with their kids. But just to be clear, it's literally a different form. Literally the same thing going on, just a different company, just a different name. They know that. The people in these West Virginia region, they know that. Okay, they know that that they've removed all this regulation for these Republican people to continue to do that, but they still do it. So I don't know. Let me land this plane, but that's not the greatest example. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to what they call society or civilization, as long as they can have a false narrative as to who they are and where their place is, they'll do anything. And as soon as that is, they can't observe that or believe that anymore, they go nuts. You know what I'm saying? And this is what the entire history of this country is. That's the history of Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's the history of any community that so-called black people had at one point in time, or Native Americans or Latino people. And it always happens. And you find themselves, just going back to the West Virginia story, being just okay in the place that they are at. They can take all the oppression, all the messed up stuff in the world, but as long as they believe that they are, I don't know, better or not the worst or whatever and stuff like that, they'll do anything. Okay? And so in any event that triggered that makes them look away from that is triggering. They literally go nuts. So I don't know. That's just what I was saying. I'm saying that, and you can see this through so many different events, but I just want y'all to understand that when you're talking about being two different species, people who are melanated are much more cooperative. You know what I'm saying? Than the other. You know what I'm saying? We built civilizations in the past, kingdoms in the past based on cooperation, even with our neighbors as well. You know what I'm saying? Today with them, with their type of society, it's all take, kill, take. Unalive. Great.
I need you to do F1 too. I'm gonna need you to do that.
So no, that's all I had to say. But I just wanted to try to land that plane for y'all.
Nah, you definitely we got your message, brother. We understood what you're trying to say. We know that you were trying to correlate it back to the politic thing, and it was good. We understood what you had to say,
Yeah.
and we understood that we're completely different from them, and that your phenotype is connected to your genes. So how they're gonna behave is what you're spliced with, or what
Yeah. And last thing, there's an ancient story called the Wild Man from the South. I want y'all to look that up. and this is this is an old story, but it might illuminate and add a little bit to what y'all talking about right now. But again, it's called The Wild Men from the South. So look that up.
Yeah.
Yes, it's old. I'm not talking about it. Oh yeah, I think that might be something like that.
Yeah, because we done research on this before too, and we looked at wild men. We started seeing like hypertrichosis, and then we started seeing that it's actually gene expression. So we started to see all these different things. So abundance for that, brother. And we've been on live for a minute, so we're thinking of closing down. We'll be probably back later. You see what I'm saying? Abundance to the panel, all who came up and had a discussion. Abundance to the comments, to the chat. Y'all were amazing. You see what I'm saying? And I wanted to leave off with, you know what I'm saying, be sensitive to that voice inside for so-called black people. You see what I'm saying? As it will lead you to a path of your own evolution. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I got to say to my brothers and sisters, because knowing thyself is the number one rule in the cosmos.
Thanks. Go ahead, Nazi.
I know we're all closing down, but the gentleman that was laughing and saying, "We built planes, we built shoes. You don't have shoes. We don't need any of that."
Facts.
If you look at the letter from Livingstone to Queen Elizabeth I, where he was told to come and explore, he said, "These guys are rich. They don't fall sick." I mean, go and Google a letter to Queen Elizabeth from Livingstone. We didn't need any of that stuff. You need it. And everywhere the white guy goes, he destroys. Is just to conquer and destroy. I mean, Europe has no animals to speak of because they destroyed everything. They went to Mauritius. They destroyed most, I mean, even, what is that bird called? I can't remember. But the mission is to destroy, conquer and destroy, and always look superior, feel superior, and talk down to people. I mean, that's all you are.
Eukaryotic cell, complex, no biological identification to the planet that we're on. So I don't even discuss racism. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to go straight to genetics, but abundance and gratitude for that, sister. You was cooking. Abundance for that.
Thank you for sharing your frequency. Abundance for that.
Ether,
you got anything to add, my brother?
Ether. Y'all make sure y'all following Ether. Denzel, the co-host that's sitting next to me, he's gonna type in the chat. I want y'all to make sure that y'all are following him too. That way y'all can follow us off the platform whenever they take it down. But he just came up to the panel.
So that's my page right there. You see what I'm saying? Y'all can go follow that. It got all the videos for prokaryotic, eukaryotic. I also talk about the blood antigens, the blood types, and breaking that down. You can also follow my brother up there, Ether. He also breaks it down on his page. And at each one reach one, this is how we grow.
All right, abundance and gratitude, y'all. Hold on. Go ahead.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I just wanted to join real quick. I know TikTok's likely going to be gone. My name is Dexter. You can see my channel, We Awaken TV. I just started talking on social media, but I'm actually starting a podcast called The Game of Life, where I plan to be interviewing a lot of us that are waking up. So some of y'all that I can tell are already awakened, I'm going to be reaching out to, like DMing. So I just wanted to put that out there so you already know what time it is. So I'm excited, and I appreciate y'all.
Abundance and gratitude, my brother.
Abundance.
All right, abundance, gratitude, y'all.